Naruto, the rise of the Uzumaki Clan. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement, this story is 100% epic fiction. So please don't attempt real magic, the results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 251 Director, give me a straight answer. The Land of Whirlpools. Labor Camp, Dormitory Rooftop. You've arrived. A red-haired youth, leaning against a rooftop wall with his hands also resting on it, looked at the orange-haired, timidly walking in and said calmly, "Don't worry, there are spies planted all around here. If anyone else comes up, I'll be notified." This fat guy, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, is so cowardly. Could he have gotten in through connections? Lord Whirlpool Ninja, Sujetsu Hazuki said helplessly, "You chose this place, the rooftop of the labor camp. How the hell am I supposed to feel at ease? This is the only building in the mist ninja area where they can move freely. And I remember you. Aren't you the Whirlpool Ninja commander who didn't follow the script at night? What the hell?" Sujetsu Hazuki cursed inwardly, but wore a cheerful smile on his face. "The most dangerous place is often the safest," Hibiki Uzumaki said calmly. "Besides, in the land of whirlpools, no one can escape the Whirlpool Ninja's surveillance." Hearing Hibiki's words, Sujetsu Hazuki felt a sense of relief. He walked to Hibiki's side, leaning against the railing, and said softly, "And what about me this time?" He had so diligently infiltrated the fleeing group, devised plans for them, filled in the gaps, even acted as a psychological comforter, and in the end, it was all for nothing. He was exhausted. Now, Sujetsu Hazuki, had become the most authoritative figure in the Kirigakure. Thinking of this, Sujetsu Hazuki's face filled with anger. They clearly promised to let me join the land of whirlpools, but now, boss, I'm going back again, damn it. If this continued, if he were discovered, he would eventually be made into pufferfish sashimi. The more the Kirigakure ninja loved him now, the more he would be sliced into pieces by them in the future. The situation changed. Hibiki Uzumaki adjusted his glasses and said calmly, "A big shot wanted to cross over into another role, so we had to change the plot at the last minute." HMPH. Sujetsu Hazuki snorted coldly upon hearing this, turning his head away without saying a word. As someone who rose from a lowly Jinin in Kirigakure to a high-ranking member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, he was aware of some unspoken rules. But, he was still unhappy. "You." Hibiki Uzumaki saw Sujetsu Hazuki's expression and sighed inwardly. It seemed the other guy was already getting annoyed, but remembering Lord Tsun's words, he could only say helplessly, "The Kirigakure ninjas shouldn't have any suspicions now, right?" "No." Sujetsu Hazuki said, "They're all waiting for the verdict from the land of whirlpools. You guys send mail here, right? Some people have even written their wills. So afraid? If they were so afraid, why did they run away in the first place?" "No." Hibiki Uzumaki adjusted his glasses and said calmly, "Don't worry, you won't die. The verdict should be handed down tomorrow. What about my mission this time?" Hearing Hibiki's words, Sukazuchi Hazuki felt relieved, then looked at him seriously and said, "I hope that after this, the higher-ups will let me join." "All right." Hibiki patted Sukazuchi Hazuki's shoulder and said, "I'll tell the higher-ups about your request. As for this mission, there won't be any danger. As long as you lead your Kirigakure team to become a model team, respond to the call of the land of whirlpools, and diligently complete the work of the land of whirlpools." Before he could finish speaking, Hibiki suddenly raised his head, frowned as he looked at a small whirlwind not far away, turned to Sukazuchi Hazuki, and said, "That's all for this conversation, someone's coming. Be careful." He then jumped down from the building and slowly disappeared in a flash. Hey, you haven't told me the details yet." Seeing Hibiki Uzumaki leave, Sujetsu Hazuki quickly leaned against the railing and shouted, "Don't cause any more problems later. Or tell me, are there any other big shots joining this time?" However, Hibiki Uzumaki's figure had already disappeared. Sujetsu Hazuki could only sigh helplessly, shake his head, and mutter, "What a nuisance." Just then, "What are you doing?" a startled voice came from behind. Sujetsu Hazuki stumbled, almost falling, his face filled with terror. Had his spine been discovered? And that voice? It was Juzobiwa. How did he get up here? Sujetsu Hazuki's face hardened instantly. Kill him. As long as he was killed, no one would find out. Just as he was about to turn an attack. Don't jump. Kisame Hoshigaki cried out in panic, looking at Sashigaki, whose body was half exposed over the wall. Their chakra was sealed. If they fell like this, they'd definitely be turned into pufferfish paste. He knew, following him was the right thing to do. Sashigaki hadn't said anything about a failed escape, but his heart was filled with sorrow. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so despondent as to jump alone. Luckily, he noticed Sashigaki's strange behavior, otherwise, Kirigakure might have lost a great general. Although we failed this time, the other Kirigakure ninja and I still remember what you said. As long as we're alive, there's hope. So, don't do anything rash. No, don't jump. Konoha. I'm very pleased that the Hidden Cloud Village has such a willingness to sacrifice for the peace of the ninja world. Hiruzen Sarutobi, seated in the Hokage's seat, smiled as he looked at the Hidden Cloud Village's battlefield commander opposite him. I believe the cooperation between Konoha and the Hidden Cloud Village will definitely go smoothly. Yes. The Hidden Cloud Village commander nodded with a smile and said, the cooperation between Konoha and the Hidden Cloud Village has a long history, dating back to the time of the first Hokage and the first Raikage. Like the Two Tails and the Eight Tails, it is a testament to the friendship between our two ninja villages. Therefore, the Hidden Cloud Village and Konoha have always been good friends, good brothers. There is not a single barrier between us. So, I heard that you got your hands on that ninja sword. Can we borrow it, brother, for a bit? Upon hearing the Hidden Cloud Village's conditions, Hiruzen Sarutobi's pipe trembled. Damn it. I knew the Hidden Cloud Village's cooperation with Konoha this time was definitely a conspiracy. I didn't expect them to be after this. Can they even get that thing? Absolutely not. How could we lend out a village's nuclear weapons? So, I'm sorry, Hiruzen Sarutobi shook his head and said, that ninja sword has already been sent by Konoha to the daimyo of the Land of Fire. After all, it's a national treasure of the Land of Water. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the Cloud Ninja with righteous indignation and said, Konoha would never seize other people's property. So, you have no share either, don't even think about it. Right. The Cloud Ninja commander nodded and said with a smile, we Cloud Ninja think so too. How can we forcibly take what belongs to others? Then, with regret on his face, he said, we originally wanted to see that legendary ninja sword. We are also very curious about what happened 1,000 years ago. But now, it seems we have to ask the daimyo of the Land of Fire and the Land of Water if they can let me admire it. Hiruzen Sarutobi was silent for a moment after hearing the Cloud Ninja's words, and tentatively asked, just to take a look? They even wanted to ask the daimyo of the Land of Fire and the Land of Water. Would that ruin Konoha's reputation? What a treacherous village of Kumagakure. Yes. The Kumagakure ninja nodded, flashing an eight-toothed smile, and said with narrowed eyes, we're just here for a simple visit. In that case, Hiruzen Sarutobi said with a smile, that ninja sword is still in Konoha, being packed up and ready to be sent to the Land of Fire in a few days. Perhaps we could show it to your Kirigakure ninja first. Sending it in a few days isn't too late. I believe Kumagakure, like our Konoha, wouldn't wantonly plunder other people's property. Chapter 1. Chapter 252 School starts in the Land of Whirlpools. Early April, year 33 of Konoha. Today is the opening day of the second cohort of students at the affiliated Academy of the Land of Whirlpools. So, early in the morning, the academy gate was bustling with activity, parents bringing their children to enroll. Konan, you must study hard. Konan's mother squatted down, looking at Konan with a serious expression. You can't be like you were in daycare at the academy. Although teacher Toby didn't say anything, I know what happened to you at daycare. Don't blame me for hitting you when the academy meets with parents. Okay. Konan pouted, saying, I'll study hard. It's just that teacher Toby is so stupid. All he can do is draw poop, he can't do anything else. And, she only drew on teacher Toby's face. Teacher Toby even tattled on her. Really, when I see teacher Toby, I'll definitely teach him a lesson, Konan thought angrily, then nodded her little head at her mother with a sweet smile. I'll definitely listen attentively in class. Just then, Konan A familiar voice came from the academy gate. Nagato, Yohiko. Konan waved happily when she saw the people coming and said, "You're here too." "Yes." Nagato and Yohiko nodded to Konan, then looked at Konan's mother and politely said, "Good morning, Auntie." "Good morning to you too." Konan's mother smiled gently and said, "Where are Nagato's mother and Yohiko's father?" "I'm very familiar with the land of whirlpools, so I didn't have my mother come to see me off," Nagato said. "I used to come here to play every year when I was little." There was also his older brother, Violet, and his aunt, Kushina, his older sister. They would bring him to the academy to play back then, but later, after they all had their own things to do, they rarely brought him out anymore, so he started staying at the daycare for a while. But after Konan and Yohiko came to the land of whirlpools, he had company again. "My dad had dinner with friends last night and drank too much," Yohiko said, looking troubled. "He hasn't woken up yet, so I had to come by myself." Haha. Konan's mother chuckled upon hearing Yohiko's words, saying, "Looks like Yohiko's dad is very busy with work." "He is quite busy," Yohiko nodded, saying with a hint of resentment, "He rarely comes home to have dinner with me lately. He always goes to the food street by himself to find something to eat." Although the food in the land of whirlpools is quite good, he still misses the feeling of being with his family. "Oh, I see." Konan's mother paused for a moment after hearing Yohiko's words, then patted Yohiko's head and said, "You can come to my house and eat with us from now on." "Really?" Yohiko was overjoyed to hear Konan's mother's words and said, "Can I come?" "Of course." Konan's mother said gently, "Konan is lonely by herself, it's good for her to have a few more friends to keep her company." "Yes." Konan nodded and said, "Yohiko can come to my house for dinner, my mom is a very good cook." "Yohiko, you can come to my house too." Nagato patted Yohiko's shoulder and said, "Or you can stay at my place overnight, my mom will definitely be happy, it's just, my mom isn't very good at cooking. You'll probably have to find something to eat outside in the end." I. Yohiko nodded gratefully after hearing Konan and Nagato's words and said, "Thank you so much." "Thank you so much, has it started?" Uzumaki soon rested his hands on the wall, his head perched on it, watching the students gradually arriving at the academy. He sighed, time flies. The Frog Squad had officially started school. He wondered what the future held for the land of whirlpools. Production in the land of whirlpools had stabilized again. The newly arrived immigrants had adapted to life there and were slowly integrating. Although most hadn't yet obtained citizenship, he believed, they were beginning to consider themselves citizens of the land of whirlpools. However, the pace is still not fast enough. Uzumaki soon murmured. The population of the land of whirlpools is still too small. Although the cities in the land of whirlpools had expanded considerably, and it was believed that multiple cities would gradually emerge soon, a population of just over 400,000 was simply insufficient for industrial production. Whether it was civilian labor or ninja labor, it was far too few. Furthermore, the limited land area of the land of whirlpools also restricts its development. With an increasing population, the needs for food, clothing, and shelter will increase, but the land of whirlpools currently has too little arable land. I wonder how the researchers are doing with the land reclamation plan? Uzumaki soon murmured. I forgot to ask yesterday. But it seems the situation isn't ideal. Creating a continent isn't as simple as just piling up some earth. It must be based on reality and then expand outwards from the existing landmass. The sea area near the land of water is currently the ideal direction for the land of whirlpools expansion, but there aren't enough machines and chakra. Especially Earth-released ninjas. Currently, only a few dozen members of the Crane clan and a dozen members of the Senju clan have come to the land of whirlpools. A drop in the ocean. Therefore, relying solely on manpower to create a continent is not ideal, since not everyone is a god of ninja powerhouse. A massive amount of chakra combined with astonishing physical strength. Especially with such delicate work as building a continent, a mistake could destroy even the small island of Uzumaki. Mechanical engineer. Uzumaki-jun sighed, muttering, I wonder when Hatake Tsukumo will finally act. If all else fails, he'll have to go to Kumagakure to see if he can lure that giant turtle over, or use the impure world reincarnation to summon Hoshirama. Otherwise, there's no other way. Should he make him do it himself? Please, he's just a child. If he's that strong now, it'll scare the ninja world. But, a husky and a Shiba Inu, if they meet now, will they fight? Then the god of shinobi and the true god of shinobi will be evenly matched in Uzumaki. It's easy for something bad to happen. Looks like I still have to use glory to knock Madara unconscious. Give Madara lots of banners and certificates. Let him get used to life and use a Shiagakure and become an excellent Taijutsu professor there. Grandpa Madara has a slight smile on his face, a slight smile. Mikado Uchiha whispered, looking at Grandpa Madara standing at the door with his cane. Those are just some children. Grandpa Madara, if you're so serious, you'll scare them. Grandpa Madara was good in every way, except he was a bit expressionless, always with a cold face like most of his clansmen. She really wondered if Grandpa Madara was even a member of the Uchiha clan. Otherwise, how could he know Uchiha-style ninjutsu, Uchiha-style fluid techniques, Uchiha-style sword techniques, and Uchiha-style throwing techniques? Oh, and that powerful Jinjutsu from last time too. But, it's impossible. The elders of the Uchiha clan are all gone now. And she'd heard Prince Soon say that Grandpa Madara was a very pitiful old man, with only his foolish nephew by his side. And his family were long gone. A child's first impression of their teacher is very important, Mikado Uchiha said earnestly, looking at Madara. So, Grandpa Madara, smile a little, that'll make the children like you. HMPH, Madara Uchiha snorted coldly. I don't need children to like me. Since they want to become ninjas, they're no longer children now. If they don't behave, I'll let them taste what it's like to be a ninja. Madara Uchiha, had never smiled in front of anyone except Hashirama. How ridiculous. Alright, Mikado Uchiha could only say helplessly after hearing Madara's words. Then, Grandpa Madara, please be gentle with your actions. Grandpa Madara is so stubborn. However, when Mikado Uchiha couldn't see, Madara's lips twitched slightly, as if he wanted to force a smile but couldn't. In the end, he stared blankly ahead, muttering softly, Hashirama, I. Chapter 2, as usual. Chapter 253 Boss Band's first lesson. Alright, everyone, take your seats. Uchiha Mikado smiled gently at the new students sitting in front of her. Keep quiet, we're going to start taking attendance. Then, she glanced at Madara, who was sitting in a rocking chair next to the podium. These trivial matters were still her responsibility. Nagato Uzumaki? Uchiha Mikado flipped open the list and called out, then looked down at the familiar red hair. Here. Nagato raised his little hand and said. The three of them were already very familiar with Uchiha Mikado, because they would help out at the daycare center when they had time. Yuhiko. Here. Caution. Uchiha Mikado looked towards Caution's position. Although His Highness hadn't asked them to change their surnames, the Senju clan was always too closely associated with Konoha. The first Hokage and the second Hokage were both from Konoha, so, their entanglement with Konoha was more troublesome than that of the Uchiha clan. If they didn't change their surnames, it would be a major taboo. Although, even if they still called themselves Senju, His Highness wouldn't care. The land of whirlpools no longer cares. After all, if the 5 great shinobi villages knew that the land of whirlpools had bloodline limits from other shinobi villages, they would definitely start a war without hesitation. Recruiting bloodline limits from other shinobi villages is a major taboo in the ninja world. No matter how many. So, even if there's one more Senju clan member, it doesn't matter. Uchiha K. Uchiha Mikado continued reading. Sure enough, apart from Konan and Yuhiko, most of the students in Class 1 were children from the major clans of the Land of Whirlpools. Perhaps these are the future elites of the Land of Whirlpools? Alright. Uchiha Mikado smiled and closed the student roster, saying, Now, please let our Class 1 homeroom teacher, Master Madara, introduce everyone. However, HMPH. Grandpa Madara remained leaning against his rocking chair, resting with his eyes half closed, ignoring Uchiha Mikado. Because he was an old man, the academy still gave him quite a few privileges. For example, an assistant and this rocking chair. Apart from the fact that the classroom didn't get any sun and this rocking chair wasn't as soft as the one on his balcony, it was quite comfortable. As for the students, HMPH. Just a bunch of idiots numbed by their comfortable lives. He'll teach this bunch of good-for-nothings after he's comfortable enough. Uchiha Mikado saw Madara glance in their direction, then close his eyes and ignore her. Uchiha Mikado smiled sheepishly at the students and said, Madara is getting old, and he stayed up late yesterday preparing for the lesson, so he's a little tired. Please be understanding. Then, she walked to Madara's side and whispered, Madara, it's your turn to teach. However, Uchiha Madara still ignored Uchiha Mikado, turned over, and faced away from her. Seeing this, Uchiha Mikado immediately felt a headache coming on. Madara was throwing a tantrum again. Grandpa Madara, Grandpa Madara. Mikado Uchiha had no choice but to coax him like a child, which was part of her job. However, Mikado-ne, we don't need this old man to teach, a member of the Uchiha clan stood up and said. He probably doesn't have much ability. Mikado-ne had recently become a Jonin, recognized by the clan head, and was more than capable of teaching them. I don't know why this school is like this, the Uchiha clan member said disdainfully. They actually hired an old man who can barely walk to teach. Shut up, Mikado Uchiha said sternly to the Uchiha clan member. You must respect your teacher, Uchiha Itachi. Quickly apologize to Master Madara, or you'll get beaten again if the clan head finds out. Did I say something wrong? Uchiha Itachi, hearing Uchiha Mikado's words, stubbornly retorted, he must not understand anything, that's why he's afraid to teach us. You. Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Mikado frowned immediately, saying, quickly apologize to Madara. However, before Uchiha Mikado could finish speaking, Madara stretched and stood up. Grandpa Madara, Itachi didn't mean it. Seeing Grandpa Madara like this, Uchiha Mikado thought he was angry and quickly said, I apologize on his behalf. However, Uchiha Madara ignored Uchiha Mikado, instead staring at the door and calmly saying, someone's here. Boss Madara is really. Uzumaki-jun sat down in his office, looking at the scene on the crystal ball, and shook his head helplessly, saying, kind of cute? He clearly wants to be a teacher, yet he's still acting like a diva? Does getting older make one more arrogant? He is no longer the arrogant, cool, and domineering Madara we saw in the anime, always inviting people to dance. I wonder what Hashirama would think if he saw Madara like this? Uzumaki-jun stroked his chin, a smile playing on his lips. He's probably used to it by now, after all. Back in his youth, Madara was also quite that tsundere. He'd secretly want something, but pretend to be indifferent. No wonder he could ride the nine tails. They're both tsundere types. But what should we do next? If the students all apply to change teachers, that would be awkward. The god of the ninja world, my friend, resigning on the first day of school. Hashirama would laugh at that. But what's Yang Yi doing here? Uzumaki soon frowned, looking at the crystal cube. Isn't his daughter supposed to be too young to start school yet? Hello, teacher. A young man walked in with his wife and daughter. Seeing Uchiha Madara, a smile immediately appeared on his face. He said, I am. However, before he could finish, get out. Madara frowned and said, this is a classroom. Leave immediately. Sorry, Yang Yi quickly said. I've been looking for you for a long time. I've been wanting to thank you for saving my life, but I didn't know where you lived. So, I came here today since school started. I'm so sorry to disturb your class. Get lost. Uchiha Madara frowned upon hearing Yang Yi's words. Leaning on his cane, he said expressionlessly, I have class to attend. Madara seemed not to remember who this person was. Besides, a useless Jonin, did he need to remember him? I was held hostage by the Mist Ninja last time. Yang, seemingly realizing the old man didn't remember him, quickly gave Hana and his daughter a look and said, I've come today specifically to thank you for saving my life. Hana nodded knowingly and handed over the gift she had. Since they'd seen the old man in the newspaper, they brought some candy and health supplements. These were new health supplements from the land of whirlpools. They were said to be very beneficial to health if consumed regularly, especially for the elderly. They'd heard that one elderly person who used to be in a wheelchair could now climb 5 flights of stairs without leg pain after drinking these supplements. And Yangai's daughter. Grandpa, hello. Naoshiro Hani looked cautiously at the seemingly unfriendly old man in front of her and said softly, thank you for saving my father. And, brat? Madara nodded expressionlessly to the little girl, then frowned at Yangai and the others, saying, take your things away. I don't remember saving a piece of trash captured by the Mist Ninja. I have to go to class now, leave quickly. Hearing Madara's words, Yangai quickly apologized, sorry, we disturbed your class, we'll leave immediately. Although the old man's tone wasn't very nice, he was still his savior. As for trash, that's nothing, he'd heard even worse things. He was already used to it. Besides, an old man who would greet his daughter and nod couldn't be a bad person. Maybe he was just expressionless like the Uchiha clan? Yangai picked up his daughter and led Hani by the hand, quickly walking towards the door while saying, It's just a small token, I hope you won't mind. Then he ignored Madara and turned to leave. Madara glanced at the object indifferently, then turned his head and stared sharply at Uchiha Itachi, saying expressionlessly, "Uchiha brat, you. What did you say?" Chapter 1. Chapter 254. What a despicable old man. 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 squats, and run 100 kilometers. Uchiha Ki yelled with a headache, "What bad luck, and that damned old man. How could he treat the Uchiha clan like this?" All he did was question the teacher's qualifications. Did he have to be so harsh? They'd probably finish all the training by evening. And crawling home late at night would be a disgrace to the Uchiha clan. We're the unlucky ones, a fat man dressed in Uchiha clan attire said helplessly. "Ki, you just talked back, why do we have to come out and join you?" Although they were all called Uchiha, they didn't talk back. And did that old man have a grudge against the Uchiha clan? Basically, all the Uchiha in the class came out to be punished. But we're the ones with a grudge. The Senju clan member next to him rolled his eyes and said, "We're from the Senju clan, we're not familiar with your Uchiha clan. They even have a grudge? Why should they be punished for the Uchiha clan's affairs?" And the Senju clan haven't said a word, they've just been quietly watching the show. That old man is the one with a grudge against the Senju clan. Could it be that he was beaten by one of the Senju elders when he was young? Otherwise, why are they being punished along with the Senju clan for no reason? There's no reason. And as for the Mist Ninja, could this old man be the kind citizen from the land of whirlpools who helped the Uzumaki ninja rescue the hostages, as mentioned in the newspapers a few days ago? I heard that old man is quite capable. When the Uzumaki ninjas were helpless, it was only through his efforts that the hostages were rescued safely. Indeed, those who can become teachers are not simple. But this still has nothing to do with the Senju clan. HMPH. Uchiha Itachi sneered, "A mere few dozen, 100 kilometers, and you Senju clan are afraid? No wonder you're poor bastards from the land of whirlpools. Your clan leader must be struggling to pay his mortgage." Uchiha Itachi's lips curled up as he looked at the Senju clan brats, saying proudly, "Unlike us Uchiha, we're still a powerful clan in the land of whirlpools." The Senju clan members were instantly enraged upon hearing Uchiha Itachi's words. "We Senju clan just want to return everything to Konoha and start anew," Muzinshu said disdainfully, "while you Uchiha clan. Shameless. As for being afraid, the Senju clan has never feared any challenge." Muzinshu said arrogantly, "The Uchiha clan will always be the weakest. Whether it's the Hokage or anything else, the Uchiha clan can't compare to the Senju clan." "Who's the younger brother?" the Uchiha clan roared angrily. "Let's have a match." "A match it is," the Senju clan declared fearlessly. "The Senju clan will always be stronger than the Uchiha clan." Then, they accelerated and overtook the Uchiha clan. Despicable. The Uchiha clan was stunned and shouted, "Your Senju clan has cheated." But the Senju clan ignored them. The Uchiha clan could only angrily accelerate, intending to overtake them. They, the Uchiha clan, would never lose to the Senju clan. "What is Taijutsu?" Madara, leaning on his cane, looked expressionlessly at the students below and said calmly, "It's about." As for the Senju and Uchiha clans, their clans had complete Taijutsu training, so they didn't need to listen to him explain these things. Therefore, Madara wasn't settling a personal score, but for the future of the Senju and Uchiha clans. I'm sure Hashirama will be grateful when he finds out. Madara Uchiha has never been a petty ninja. Besides, he's already become the teacher of the Senju clan's new generation. He'll have to teach Hashirama respect for his teachers. Otherwise. HMPH. The Uchiha brats and the Senju brats. Madara Uchiha will make these brats understand the cruelty of ninjas. But for now, let the other brats understand what Taijutsu is first. Only with coordinated body movements, stable footwork, and graceful posture can they possibly, learn true Taijutsu. Therefore, constant training is necessary. Madara Uchiha said calmly, "Only after the body adapts to chakra can." As for that good-for-nothing named Shiki, he's only learned a little bit. I haven't seen that brat in the back mountains for the past few days. I wonder where he went? He probably gave up. After all, a pure Taijutsu ninja who can't use ninjutsu has no future. But what about the canned beef he promised me? Achoo, achoo. Zicheng rubbed his nose with his right hand, doing a push-up with his left hand, muttering, "Got a cold? Looks like my training isn't enough." So, I must finish 3,000 push-ups today, or 3,000 sit-ups. I need to intensify my training. Zicheng, His Highness soon said that a balance between work and rest is the right thing to do. Kita looked at Ziluo, who was still training, and said helplessly, excessive training will damage the body. This brat finally joined the army. You know, a pure taijutsu-type ninja who doesn't know ninjutsu is very easy to get injured on the battlefield. Especially jinjutsu. If you're not careful, you'll probably have your head cut off by another ninja before you even throw a punch. Although he doesn't approve of Zicheng's ideals, he still can't pretend he can't see the sweat he's put into them. Didn't you see he's training alone now? It's because his training is too intimidating for others. To avoid discouraging the newcomer's confidence, the team made him train alone. But, even he, a Jonin, would doubt his own training methods after seeing this. Your training is too strenuous, Kita sighed. If you keep doing this, problems will inevitably arise sooner or later. It's alright, I'm used to it, Zicheng said while training. Since I've made up my mind, I'll do it seriously. This is my ninja way. Whatever, Kita shook his head helplessly. If you have time, go to the hospital for a checkup. Early detection might prevent it from becoming too serious. Besides, this kid has His Highness Soon's decree for a free checkup. Let's not waste it. As for him, it's getting late, he should go home. His team has a day off today, so he should head home early. I'll head back now, Kita said. Don't train too late, and you'll probably have to eat dinner alone tonight. Understood, Zicheng nodded, then said, Kita-ni is going on a date with Uzumaki, but are you coming back tonight? So many years have passed, why aren't those two married yet? Looks like I need to find a place to live and move out, otherwise, it's not good to bother them all the time. You brat, Kita kicked Zicheng's butt after hearing his words, smiling as he said, you think you know everything. Tonight. You can stay home by yourself. Konoha. This. The Cloud Ninja looked at the sealed wooden box handed over by the Leaf Village Ninja and exclaimed excitedly, is this the legendary Frostmourne? Yes. The Leaf Village Ninja nodded and said. The Hokage ordered me to bring it here. He made a hand seal to unlock the seal on the wooden box. I'll come back for it tomorrow. Please note. This is Konoha. No matter what happens, Konoha will be the first to know. So. The Leaf Village Ninja stared sharply at the Cloud Ninja and said calmly, you mustn't do anything reckless. Understood. The Cloud Ninja commander said cheerfully, we're just admiring it. We'll definitely return it intact tomorrow. As for Iwagakure, we Cloud Ninja have already sent troops there. They will definitely help Konoha resist Iwagakure. Trust us, Cloud Ninja. We will never do anything like forcibly taking it. Then, his eyes burned as he stared at the ancient hilt of the sword inside the wooden box and murmured, this is truly incredible. This ninja sword. What a pity. Still Chapter 2. Chapter 255 Development of Agriculture and Animal Husbandry. How are these seeds, nourished with the life-giving potion, growing? Uzumaki soon asked, looking at Yuta. Has the harvested food undergone any food testing? Food is always crucial, so today, Uzumaki soon had come to inspect the large-scale farmers in the land of whirlpools. Moreover, the land of whirlpools has too little arable land, so increasing yields is the only option. However, he wouldn't allow these modified grains to enter the market before knowing how they would affect humans. Therefore, he had Yuta, the agricultural expert from the land of whirlpools, conduct the tests first. These new varieties have indeed increased yields by 3 or 4 times, Yuta said, his trousers rolled up, standing in the field, bent over. And so far, no harm has been observed in animals after consuming them. In fact, after consuming them, the animals have increased in size, and the meat quality has improved considerably. You ate it? Uzumaki soon was taken aback by Yuta's words. Did I warn you that you shouldn't eat any food whose safety cannot be guaranteed? You think you have a crystal stomach. Although the medical technology in the ninja world is quite advanced, who can guarantee that there won't be any accidents? It looked pretty good, so I tried it, Yuta said embarrassedly. And I found that the effects of consuming this kind of grain and meat are somewhat similar to health supplements, only the effects are relatively weak. What's wrong? Uzumaki soon asked curiously. According to the effects of health supplements, it shouldn't have any effect in a short time. How did you feel that? Did it cure your long-standing problem? After eating it last time, my cold was cured immediately, Yuta said seriously. Otherwise, It usually takes me 3 or 4 days to get better from a cold. So, it can be used as a cold medicine? Uzumaki soon looked at Yuta speechlessly and said, I understand. I will have the medical school test these grains in animals. If it's true, perhaps, the land of whirlpools will have another high-end product that can be traded abroad. I believe those nobles will be very happy to hear that eating can prolong life. What about hybrid rice? Uzumaki soon stroked his chin, pondered for a moment, and said, how is the experiment going? The seedlings are basically ready. Yuta nodded upon hearing Uzumaki soon's words and said, and compared to seedlings irrigated with a life potion, the yield of hybrid rice is just as good. It's just... With a regretful look on his face, he sighed and said, we can't save the seeds. Uzumaki soon nodded upon hearing this. He had indeed known for a long time that they couldn't save the seeds. Because he didn't know at first that the life potion could be mixed with water for irrigation, he thought of ways to increase grain production in other ways. For example, intensive farming. As a member of the Chinese nation, Uzumaki soon was quite familiar with farming, especially with a system he possessed. He could transform the land of whirlpools into an agricultural superpower in no time. He had long ago exchanged many books on agriculture from the system, such as the transformation of fertile land, irrigation. Currently, the land of whirlpools library has them all, and they have been used extensively with very good results. However, the high-yield hybrid rice, now produced as a Ninja World version, could be sold at a low price to other countries in the Ninja World. Thinking of this, Uzumaki soon's lips curled slightly upwards, and he murmured, I really am a good person. To reduce hunger in the Ninja World, he even sold the S-rank high-yield rice, developed by the land of whirlpools after years of research and experimentation, to other countries at a low price. What ninja would be as selfless as him? Probably only the god of the Ninja World, that saintly figure. It seems that Uzumaki soon, besides being a good actor, a con man, an arms dealer, a troublemaker, and a scapegoat, is essentially a saint. He ultimately couldn't bear to see anyone in the Ninja World starve to death. Are there enough seedlings now? Uzumaki soon asked, smiling at Yuta. I think you could start a company now, one that specializes in researching and selling high-yield seeds. To grow large, corporatization is essential. Perhaps this company could provide many jobs and contribute to the GDP of the land of whirlpools in the future. After all, food is indispensable in any era. As for now, Uzumaki soon said, let's prepare enough seeds for the land of whirlpools first. It's the crucial time for spring planting. Okay, Yuta nodded, my uncle and I will prepare soon. The land of whirlpools tasks are always the top priority. After all, he and his uncle are able to live peacefully because of the land of whirlpools protection. As for the company, if you encounter anything you don't understand, you can ask the Divine Crane Clan. Uzumaki soon nodded. They've been corporatized for many years and are quite familiar with it. Even more familiar than this modern person who has only read a few books. The Divine Crane Clan's companies have already provided many jobs for the land of whirlpools and are also major taxpayers. So, without agriculture, there is no stability. Without commerce, there is no prosperity. Neither of these aspects can be ignored. We'll hire more people then, so you can have an easier time, said Uzumaki soon. And in a few years, we'll definitely become a pillar enterprise of the land of whirlpools. Understood. I'll visit Chief Shen in a few days, Yuta said after thinking for a moment. By the way, what about the pigs injected with a life-giving potion? Pigs? Uzumaki soon stroked his chin and asked, is the meat supply in the land of whirlpool stable lately? Basically stable, Yuta nodded and said. Most meat is still provided by fishing. The people of the land of whirlpools don't have a high demand for pork, beef, or chicken. After all, these three types of meat are quite expensive. Although the wages of the people of the land of whirlpools are quite high now, people who have experienced hunger are more frugal. So, except for a sudden change of taste, they basically buy fish. Sigh, Uzumaki-jun nodded knowingly upon hearing this, sighed, and said, there's nothing we can do about it. It's not that the people of the ninja world are lazy, but they've suffered too many wars. War breaks out almost every few days, so their farmland is damaged, leading to harvests and hunger. Even without war, there are still ninjas and tycoons who prey on them, like the shipping magnate Gato from the anime. It's just that Gato is now the Minister of Commerce of the land of whirlpools and doesn't have the opportunity to cause trouble anymore. And who knows if the land of waves will even appear. Furthermore, There's no law in the ninja world, an individual's strength is too great. A powerful ninja can basically destroy a city or a country single-handedly. And some overpowered individuals can even destroy the world. Therefore, in the ninja world, if you don't become a ninja, a strong one, you're basically like a sheep waiting to be slaughtered. Things will change in the future, Uzumaki soon sighed. First, have the slaughterhouses grade these meats injected with a life-giving serum into 9 levels, M1 to M9, and then ship them overseas, and, incidentally, the higher the grade, the better the nutrition, the better the taste, and naturally, the higher the price. However, they still haven't managed to develop pig-type ninja beasts. It seems the goal of his Uzumaki clan is still a long and arduous journey. Chapter 1. Chapter 256 The Wheel of History was struck. Those Cloud Ninja didn't do anything else, did they? Hirozen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette and said, Orochimaru sent a message, the Cloud Ninja have accepted the Iwagakure's frontline, so we can't afford any trouble now. We could have just refused back then, why go through all that trouble? Danzo shook his head helplessly and said, after all, that's a legendary ninja sword. How could they just lend it to ninja from other villages? If someone on the Cloud Ninja side could actually summon the sword spirit, wouldn't Konoha suffer a huge loss? I did all this to end the war as soon as possible and reduce casualties. Hirozen Sarutobi shook his head, looking guilty, and said, because of my misjudgment, Konoha has suffered too many losses in this war. So, we can't continue fighting like this. The Senju clan, the Uchiha clan's annihilation. Now Konoha's bloodline limit has suffered a devastating loss. Fortunately, the Hyuga clan doesn't have any particularly powerful bloodlines, otherwise. Sigh. Hirozen Sarutobi sighed and said, let the Anbu assist route in monitoring. You know, we absolutely cannot afford any accidents now. As for me, I'll also be inspecting the entire village from time to time. Sure enough, his telescope technique is very useful in protecting Konoha. No wonder everyone calls him the Ninja World Doctor. His ability to create ninjutsu is comparable to his teacher's. I'll make the arrangements. Danzo nodded, stood up, and said, if there's nothing else, I'll be leaving now. Okay. Hirozen Sarutobi said, be careful not to be discovered by our allies. I know what to do. Danzo said, then opened the door and left. He'd been the head of route for so many years. Didn't he know that public nudity is illegal? Besides, he had very important things to do. As for supervising the Cloud Ninja, let's leave that to other ninjas. Captain, are we really going to take the ninja sword with us? A short-haired Cloud Ninja asked, frowning. Our current location is surrounded by Konoha's Anbu. We can't leave. Although Konoha's Anbu are well hidden, they are still Cloud Ninja's elite. With so many people watching them, how could they not notice? We must take it. The Cloud Ninja captain nodded, his face serious. This ninja sword absolutely cannot fall into Konoha's hands. He had personally witnessed the sword's earth-shattering power. If someone from Konoha were to obtain its spirit, wouldn't Konoha have another ninja god? Add to that the third Hokage, that cunning old fox. Who knows what might happen? Therefore, they must obtain this ninja sword. What about the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? The short-haired mist ninja hesitated for a moment before asking, wasn't our original mission to abduct the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki candidate? It's no longer necessary. The Cloud Ninja captain shook his head, saying, Jinchuriki are no longer important to us. As long as they gain the sword spirit's approval, they'll possess the power of a shinobi god, or even surpass it. At that point, the tailed beasts will be nothing more than easy prey in their eyes. Why would they be afraid? HMPH. They'll just take them all. Has any of you gained the sword spirit's approval during this time? The Cloud Ninja captain asked, frowning. If you have, we don't need to go through all that trouble. They can just attack directly. No. The short-haired mist ninja shook his head, thought for a moment, and then spoke. I think that ninja sword couldn't possibly have a blade. However, before he could finish, the Cloud Ninja captain interrupted him, saying seriously, impossible, it definitely exists. That ninjutsu that froze the sea, it's something no human could possibly unleash, so, it definitely exists. There's definitely a sword spirit. Captain Yoon sighed, shaking his head helplessly. Since no one has been accepted, it seems we'll have to sneak the ninja sword back to the village. No matter what, this ninja sword can't be left in Konoha. Yes. The short-haired Yoon ninja could only agree to his captain's order. He still believed that such a powerful ninja sword couldn't possibly exist in this world. If it did, what would be the point of ninja training? But no one believed him. Have the main body use the transformation jutsu to turn into Toad, the ninja captain said after a moment's thought. Then have a clone take the Toad out, and we'll slip away as soon as we get outside. This was the only way now. Konoha would be coming to retrieve the ninja sword this afternoon, so they had to be quick. Hopefully, there weren't any Hyuga clan members among these Zanbu members, otherwise, they'd be in trouble. Lord Danzo, here for another inspection? An old man chuckled, looking at the middle-aged man with his right eye bound. Lord Danzo is such a good man. He's always been so concerned about us commoners. These past few days, he's even arranged for ninjas to come and help us irrigate and plant. He even personally funded rice seedlings for impoverished villagers, so that everyone has land to cultivate. A middle-aged man beside him agreed wholeheartedly. Yes. When I first saw Lord Danzo, I was startled by his aura. I didn't expect that. Although Lord Danzo's long hair is a bit intimidating, he's a good man. Yes, I think so too. Danzo walked into the farmland with a smile. During this time, because he had been officially removed from his position as the leader of Root, he had nothing to do and, as described in the book he had read, was going to the grassroots level. After helping the farmers for a while, those who used to avoid him now greeted him. As expected. He was far too out of touch with the people back then. Fortunately, he's realized it now, and it's not too late. Old man. Danzo held the old man's hand tightly, a smile on his face, and said, Are you still facing any difficulties? I believe Konoha will definitely help you solve them and bring you a happy life. Perhaps some high-ranking officials in Konoha are all talk and no action, but believe me, Danzo said sincerely, that's only a small part. Most are like me, Danzo, who love the people. If anyone bullies you, don't be afraid, tell me. Danzo, will definitely stand up for you. Send them all to grow sweet potatoes. An official who doesn't serve the people might as well go home and grow sweet potatoes. Danzo held the old man's hand tightly, his face filled with emotion, and said, Danzo, I'm absolutely on your side. Lord Danzo. Hearing Danzo's words, all the civilians present showed expressions of gratitude, wiping away tears, and said in choked voices, We believe you. Lord Danzo, you are a good person. What exactly does Danzo want? Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned, looking at the scene inside the crystal ball, and murmured, He seems to have been appearing among the civilians these past few days. Although he didn't know what Danzo was up to, as long as it didn't harm the village, he possessed a broad mind. And was known as the strongest Hokage in history, he would probably turn a blind eye. But, I am the light of Konoha, you are the darkness of Konoha. Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at the popular Danzo in the crystal ball and murmured, Only when the two of us complement each other can Konoha become stronger. So, I hope you don't lose yourself. And then, knock knock. The door to the Hokage's office was knocked open. Come in. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, his expression returning to its gentleness, and said, Something terrible has happened. The door opened, and an Anbu ninja wearing a fox mask rushed in, saying in a panicked tone, Hokage-sama, something terrible has happened. The Cloud Ninja End. Chapter 2. Only 2 chapters. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257 Even if I, Juzo, starved to death. Kumagakure, Hidden Cloud Village. Knock knock. Come in. A middle-aged man, shirtless and dressed in brown, frowned as he looked at the Kumagakure ninja who entered. He said calmly, What is it? Lord Raikage. The Kumagakure ninja bowed respectfully and said, The mission failed. Failed? Hearing the Kumagakure ninja's words, the Raikage was taken aback, sighed, and said, What about those Kumagakure ninja? They've all perished. The Kumagakure ninja said angrily, Konoha is truly going too far. Lord Raikage, should we declare war on Konoha? How dare they kill the Kumagakure ninja? Konoha is simply courting death. They believe the Raikage will definitely avenge them. I understand. The Raikage pondered for a moment, waved his hand, and said, You may leave now. Yes. The Kumagakure ninja nodded and withdrew. Konoha. The Raikage looked coldly at the ninja world map before him and murmured, as expected, it failed. Although he hadn't thought the success rate would be high from the beginning, he hadn't expected that all the Kumagakure ninja he sent out would be wiped out. Konoha truly lives up to its reputation as the strongest ninja village. But was that Mangekyo Sharingan really after the legendary ninja tool when he came to the land of lightning? The Raikage frowned, deep in thought. And is the information from Iwagakure accurate? He knew that the claim of the weapon was just something he'd casually spread. He didn't know the Mangekyo's true objective. If the Mangekyo came to the land of lightning really after the weapon, that ninja tool might be a ninja sword. A legendary ninja sword belonging to the land of lightning. Otherwise, there's no reason why only the land of fire and the land of water possess such a legendary ninja sword. The land of lightning must have one too. The Mangekyo. The Raikage stared intently at the 5 great nations, muttering, what is the purpose of collecting these weapons? The 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist were, after all, assassins from Kurigakure, a 7-person terrorist organization created specifically for killing. In a sense, these ninjas were essentially hopeless trash. However, in this ninja world, as long as you're good at talking your way out of things, you can blame any misdeed on the peace of the ninja world, and even fabricate a tragic past. Then a bunch of saintly figures will appear, wiping away tears and shouting, I forgive you. It's not you who's wrong, it's the world. That's right. There's nothing in the ninja world that can't be whitewashed. And they're not wrong either, the world is indeed wrong. So, for Sujetsu Hazuki and Biwajuzo, the best course of action is indeed hanging, to ensure the seriousness of the laws of the land of whirlpools. But Jonin are ultimately very important to the land of whirlpools. This land is our objective today, Ayuzu Shiagami said disdainfully, looking at the mist ninja before him. So, you must finish today. If you slack off, there will be no food. You can leave when you're done. Prince Sun was ultimately too kind, actually giving these heinous mist ninja a chance. In his opinion, these wicked mist ninjas of the land of whirlpools should be hacked to pieces, bled dry, and then thrown into the sea to feed the fish. That's what they deserve. Especially the sharp-toothed mist ninja leading the group. Kizuna Kisame. He knew him quite well, he was one of the mist ninjas who invaded the land of whirlpools back then. Although he secretly wished he could chop them into fish paste, since Prince Sun had decided this, they could only carry it out diligently. Don't let me catch you slacking off. The Uzumaki ninja lashed out with his whip, making a crackling sound in the air, and said, if you find out, don't blame me for being ruthless. These bastards shouldn't be treated so well. Since they weren't killed, they should be made to work for the land of whirlpools until they die. Thinking this, he turned and walked to his recliner, basking in the gentle sun. A spring afternoon was truly pleasant. Captain Juzo, what do we do now? A mist ninja looked at the hoe in his hand, his face showing resentment, and asked Biwajuzo, are we really going to work? Although they didn't mind working, it was still, they were working while that Uzumaki ninja was enjoying himself, and it made them uncomfortable. HMPH. Biwajuzo said angrily, what are we supposed to do? We're ninjas from Kurigakure. They were already carrying bricks for the land of whirlpools, but today they were being forced to farm. Did they not care about their reputation as members of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist? If we really do it, where will we find the dignity to lead our underlings back in Kurigakure? What will the Mizukage think of us? No way. Juzo Biwa threw his hoe to the ground and said, let's find a place to lie down. But if we don't do it, we won't have anything to eat, a Kurigakure ninja asked. What will we do then? Eat, all you know is food, Juzo Biwa said, exasperated. A ninja can go hungry for a day or two without any problems. Is food more important, or the dignity of Kurigakure? Even if I, Juzo Biwa, starve to death, die in the land of whirlpools, or jump off this cliff, I wouldn't eat a single thing you give me. I believe Sujetsu Hazuki feels the same way. You know, he is a hero who deeply loves Kurigakure, it smells so good. Sujetsu Hazuki scooped up a stewed fish and said, Uncle, your stew is really good. Isn't it? The old man in front of him, who was cooking, said with a smile, I've been stewing fish for decades. His face showed a hint of reminiscence. Back then, the land of whirlpools wasn't like it is now, where we eat fish and meat at every meal. Back then, if we could catch a small fish a week, my whole family would be happy for a year. He gestured with his calloused right hand, indicating a fish about the size of a finger, Such a small fish was very precious to my family. The whole family would gather around it, thinking about how to cook it well and how not to waste it. That's why my skills are so good now. Yes, yes. Sujetsu Hazuki gave a thumbs up and nodded, saying, in all my years, I've never seen stewed fish better than yours. Haha. The old man nodded in satisfaction upon hearing Sujetsu Hazuki's words and said, try the braised pork too. This is a recipe passed down from His Highness Soon. It's even more delicious. Although initially terrified of these mist ninja, after spending the last few days with them, he discovered they weren't anything special. So, he gradually got used to them. He just didn't know why these ninjas were so eager to return to their village. Was there somewhere better than the land of whirlpools? That was impossible. The land of whirlpools was the best place. Really? Sujetsu Hazuki's eyes lit up upon hearing the old man's words, and he exclaimed, I'll have to try this. Looking at the delicious-looking braised pork in front of him, Sujetsu Hazuki sighed inwardly. So this is the kind of mission the organization gave him. He suddenly realized he really enjoyed carrying out missions. Indeed, Sujetsu Hazuki, was a diligent ninja at heart. Chapter 1. Chapter 258. It's so good. Burp. Sujetsu Hazuki let out a satisfied burp, casually picking his teeth with a blade of grass he'd plucked from the ground with his right hand. That was so satisfying, he exclaimed. The land of whirlpools was truly overflowing with delicious food. He'd never eaten as much in all his years. The past few decades had been a complete waste. But is what we're doing really okay? A Kirigakure ninja cautiously asked. We're still ninjas of Kirigakure, after all. To be so engrossed in the food of the land of whirlpools, it was truly shameful. He had let Kirigakure down. Sujetsu Hazuki paused, taken aback by the Kirigakure ninja's words. He hadn't expected to be discovered. Wasn't his plan to make these Kirigakure ninjas fall in love with the land of whirlpools and then gradually integrate them? But, as a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, he couldn't say that. Young man, your ninja resolve isn't high. Sujetsu Hazuki patted the mist ninja's shoulders with both hands, a disappointed expression on his face. He sighed, shook his head, and said, I'm doing all this for Kirigakure. That's right, everything he's doing now is for Kirigakure. Only by working diligently can we integrate into the land of whirlpools. Sujetsu Hazuki looked at the mist ninja with a serious expression. Only by integrating into the land of whirlpools will the ninjas of the land of whirlpools lower their guard against us. Only when the ninjas of the whirlpools lower their guard will we have a chance to do other things. For example, plan another escape. Sujetsu Hazuki patted the mist ninja's shoulder, put his hands behind his back, and walked ahead, his face bearing an expression of smugness as he gazed into the distance with deep eyes. He said calmly, my diligent work and hearty meals are all part of my plan to integrate into the land of whirlpools. It's not simply because I'm addicted to food. My heart is still with the hidden mist village. Sujetsu Hazuki's eyes welled with tears as he stared ahead, then he secretly glanced at the mist ninja, whose face was filled with guilt and regret. He nodded in satisfaction, a slight smile playing on his lips, then immediately adopted a sorrowful expression, shook his head, and sighed, I never expected you all. Never mind, never mind. No matter what, I brought you here, so I'll do everything I can to get you back. Captain Fuguki. The Kirigakure ninja, moved by Fuguki's words, exclaimed, we'll work hard and eat well too, we definitely won't let you suffer alone. Please let us share the burden. Like this. Fuguki hesitated for a moment, then, seemingly persuaded, nodded helplessly, saying, fine, let's carry this together. But please remember, no matter what, we are all ninjas of Kirigakure. This generation of ninjas. This is unbelievable. I just bragged a little, how did everyone believe me? Do I have a talent for acting? Fuguki's lips curled slightly upward, and he murmured, it seems the mission will be completed soon. He wondered how things were going with Jozobiwa. He remembered that most of the Kirigakure ninja that Kisame Juzo brought had families in Kirigakure. It would be difficult to persuade them to join Uzashigakure. But now, Sujetsu Hazuki waved his hoe and shouted, everyone, pick up your tools. We're going to work hard today. Sure enough, that Uzashigakure ninja completely ignored them. Kagetsu Juzo licked his dry lips. It seemed this Uzashigakure ninja was hoping they wouldn't work hard, so they could starve to death. But, that suited him too. As a ninja, he was prepared for death. It's just, there's not even any water. Kagetsu Juzo muttered with grief and indignation, do they have to be so cruel? He glanced at the Kurigakure ninja lying beside him, looking just like him. So be it. Dying of thirst or starvation isn't so bad. Sujetsu Hazuki is probably like me now, determined to protect the honor of Kurigakure, absolutely refusing to obey the Uzushiagakure's mission and waiting to die. It was my brother who ruined him. I should have never stopped him from jumping. Even if he had been mashed into pufferfish sauce, it would have been better than starving to death. But now, it's just that my brother owes him, and I'll have to repay him in the next life. Lord Mizukage, we absolutely did not disgrace Kurigakure, Juzo Biwa murmured, but we can never go back. Just then, as Biwa Juzo closed his eyes and awaited death. Child. An elderly woman, carrying a water jug filled with water, walked over with a slightly unsteady gait, her face beaming, revealing yellowed, incomplete teeth. She said, thirsty? Here, have some water. She then took out a porcelain bowl, poured out a bowl of water, and handed it to Biwa Juzo lying on the ground. Here, drink. If you're tired, take a rest. Biwa Juzo was parched. Seeing the water on the ground from the elderly woman, he was stunned, especially by her unsightly, wrinkled smile and cloudy eyes. A sudden feeling stirred within him. This feeling, he seemed to have experienced before. But when had he lost it? Biwa Juzo's heart seemed to have suffered a shock. This kind of care from an ordinary person, it seemed he hadn't experienced it since becoming a ninja. Biwa Juzo reached out, his hands seemingly instinctively reaching for the bowl of plain, cold water. Drink up, child. The old woman, feeling the water being taken, smiled again on her wrinkled face. You must be tired. I'm so grateful to you young men. Without your help, this land might have been abandoned. Biwa Juzo took the water, looked at the cold water in his hand, paused for a moment, then looked up and asked, is all this land yours, auntie? Yes. The old woman nodded with a smile, then sighed regretfully, it's a pity my eyesight is bad, and I'm not very mobile, so this good land has been wasted. Auntie, you. Biwa Juzo hesitated, then said, where are your children? They're dead. The old woman sighed, seemingly lost in memories, and said wistfully, dead, died in the war. My husband also died on the way to the land of whirlpools while taking care of me. Only you are left. If they hadn't died then, they'd probably be about your age now. But it's alright. The old woman smiled, revealing her yellowed and missing teeth. I don't feel lonely. I go back to the orphanage every day to take care of the children. Those poor children are now my children. Alright, I need to go deliver water to the others. The old woman stood up shakily, carrying the water jug, and said, if you're tired, take a rest. No rush, it's just me eating anyway. I won't eat much. So, take your time, I'm not in a hurry. Okay. Looking at the old woman who was moving slowly with difficulty, the corners of his mouth unconsciously turned up slightly. He looked down at the cold water in his hands, and slowly brought the bowl to his dry, coughing lips. He took a small sip. And then, it's so delicious. Chapter 2. It seems that subscriptions have dropped a lot since May 1st. What's going on? Chapter 259. What's meant to happen will happen. Once a war begins, it's not something you can simply end. Take, for example, the Hidden Cloud Village and the Hidden Stone Village. You were the one who wanted to start the war, and now you're telling me you want to cooperate and raid Konoha's home base? Anoki had something on his mind he didn't know whether to say or not. The Hidden Stone Village is one of the 5 great ninja villages, with its notoriously stubborn will of stone. Do you think you, Rikage, can just summon it and dismiss it at will? Cooperation? Forget about it. If you hadn't suddenly interfered, the Hidden Stone Village would have already won the war. And now you're telling me that Konoha possesses a legendary sword and can't let Konoha continue developing like this? Are you kidding me? Even if Konoha gets the legendary ninja sword, so what? The Mangekyo Sharingan is gone, Wood Release is gone, what's left of Konoha? The strongest Hokage, the third Hokage? That's a joke. But the Hidden Stone Village possesses the strongest bloodline limit, Dust Release. They're not afraid of anyone. Moreover, even if that ninja sword wasn't real, without its recognition, it was just an ordinary ninja sword. So, a bad temper met a bad temper, the feud between Iwagakure and Kumagakure was sealed. There was no possibility of reconciliation. Late 35th year of Konoha. Konoha. Cough cough, I'm getting old after all. Uzumaki Miro looked at the red-haired boy before her, sighed, and said, "I'm sorry to have brought you to see this old woman. Grandma Mito, you." Uzumaki-jun saw the increasingly aged Uzumaki Mito, opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. Today, he sensed that the secret kunai that Mito had taken last time had been activated, so he came over, but he didn't expect to see Uzumaki Miro struggling even to sit up. He sighed inwardly. The legendary female ninja who once dominated the ninja world, protecting the family business for the god of shinobi, ultimately couldn't withstand the ravages of time. Even Madara, despite taking supplements and using Hashirama's cells, isn't quite at the end of his rope yet, but he's already starting to have difficulty moving around. He gets breathless after just a few steps and basically needs Mikoto to push him around. No matter how strong you are in life, you will eventually die. Didn't you see that everyone except Kaguya and Black Zetsu is basically dead? Even the Sage of Six Paths is only left with chakra, silently protecting the ninja world. But the thought of Elysium, where he can summon the dead through the impure world reincarnation to chat and drink tea, makes Uzumaki-jun's heart less sad. This world is crooked. Ahem. Mito Uzumaki coughed twice, covering her mouth, to stop Jun Uzumaki from speaking. She said, "I've done what I promised you. I'll take the Uzumaki clan sealing techniques with me. I haven't taught them to anyone except the 9th rank. Of course, I'll leave the yin seal behind." Mito Uzumaki looked at Jun Uzumaki. "It's a Konoha ninjutsu. Okay." Jun Uzumaki nodded. "This was created by you, Grandma Mito. The Land of Whirlpools won't interfere. Anyway, the Land of Whirlpools also had the yin seal, so it didn't matter." Now, Mito Uzumaki stared intently into Jun Uzumaki's eyes. "I want you to grant me one request." Jun Uzumaki fell silent after hearing Mito Uzumaki's words, then asked calmly, "What request?" He was, after all, the ruler of the Land of Whirlpools. It was best not to agree to anything before the request was clear, lest it cause losses later. "Don't worry, child." Mito Uzumaki shook her head and sighed. "This is just this old woman's last small request. It won't be difficult for you." Mito's eyes pleaded. "Even if this old woman is begging you." "Eh?" Jun Uzumaki opened his mouth, then said helplessly, "Grandma Mito, please tell me." In any case, Grandma Mito had helped during the War of the Land of Whirlpools, and later with the tail beast sealing technique, and now with the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan. She ultimately contributed significantly to the stability of the Land of Whirlpools today. "Take care of Jihopen for me," Mito Uzumaki said with a hint of regret. "It's this old woman's fault. If Jihopen is in danger, I hope you can help. I hope Jihopen can live a happy life." Jun Uzumaki paused for a moment after hearing Mito's words, then nodded and said, "I will be careful." To be honest, he didn't want to get too involved with Konoha. With Grandma Mito gone, the last thread of connection between Konoha and the Land of Whirlpools was finally severed. That was good. After all, once Konoha starts talking to you about life, the future, feelings, and the will of fire, it basically means you have to work for Konoha. Looking at Konoha's history, it's all about betraying its allies. But now, he'll just consider it helping an elderly person living alone. At her age, her husband is gone, her son is gone, her daughter-in-law is gone, her grandson is gone, and the entire Senju clan except for Tsunade is gone. Grandma Miro must have been quite lonely these past few years, except for Kyuubi's company. After all, when Kyuubi became a Jinchuriki, she was the village's property, the village's weapon. But I believe Kyuubi would be very happy with Minato, her devoted husband. After all, Madara has become a top-tier teacher in the Land of Whirlpools, and Abrito is probably about to be born. With the Land of Whirlpools' red education, given his originally pure heart, he should be able to become an outstanding successor to the Red Movement. So, as long as she doesn't cause trouble, the third Hokage retires peacefully, and Minato doesn't wander around and obediently remains a puppet, she should be able to live a happy life. Then, hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Mito smiled, nodded, and said, "Thank you. That way, she can go in peace." "Hashirama. I'm sorry. I might not be able to watch over Konoha for you anymore." "Tsunade, what are you thinking about?" Jiraiya chuckled, leaning closer to the somber Tsunade and asking, "The situation is very favorable now, thanks to my Toad Sage. I believe the war will end soon. Get lost, don't bother me." Tsunade shoved Jiraiya's hateful face away, angrily saying, "Or else don't blame my fists." Why does seeing that grinning face always make me angry? It's so annoying. Alright, you're busy. Jiraiya reluctantly sat down next to Orochimaru, who was looking at the battle plan, and said, everyone's busy. You. Orochimaru licked his lips, saying helplessly, there's a war going on right now, and you're the only one doing nothing. Minato went back to the village. Jiraiya said helplessly, there's nothing here. He couldn't even find a place to have a drink, be surrounded by pretty girls, and soothe his soul. So, when will this war end? Jiraiya sighed, his gaze lost. Why this war? Everyone was so somber and gloomy, so, if he became like them, wouldn't this place become incredibly boring? Although Orochimaru and Tsunade didn't say anything, seemingly having recovered from Naruto's sacrifice, Jiraiya knew, it was only on the surface. They were still grieving, especially in this atmosphere of war, facing so many sacrifices every day. How could they possibly move on from grief so easily? Therefore, as the strongest, most handsome, and richest member of the team, the Toad Sage, he couldn't be like them. At least, during these sorrowful days, he could still bring a little joy to others. Chapter 1. Chapter 260 The Passing of the Old Era. In early 36 Konoha, during this time of war, Mito Uzumaki, the pillar of Konoha after Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, who had silently supported the village, passed away as the first Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. This meant the passing of Konoha's older generation. It also meant that, apart from Tsunade, the last traces of the two founding clans of Konoha, the Senju and Uchiha clans, had vanished. The entire village was plunged into a somber atmosphere. After all, after the deaths of the two Hokage, it was Mito who had silently supported Konoha, maintaining the position of the third Hokage, allowing Hiruzen Sarutobi to smoothly assume the position and establish an Elders' Council to control the village. Ninth rank, Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, looking at the news of the blonde girl in his hand. The Nine-Tails, the new Jinchuriki, as requested by Mito, hoped that this little girl could live a peaceful life in the village like an ordinary person. However, once she became the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, she could no longer be an ordinary person. Why did the first Hokage distribute tailed beasts to each village back then? It was to balance the power of each village, and the tailed beasts were the key to the balance of power among the 5 great shinobi villages. Danzo, what do you think we should do? Hiruzen Sarutobi asked, looking at Danzo who was deep in thought. The Nine-Tails issue needs to be resolved. Oh. Danzo snapped out of his reverie, a smile on his face. Let's follow Miro-sama's arrangement. Anyway, the Nine-Tails can't help the village now. After years of working at the grassroots level, his reputation in the village had indeed risen a notch. Now, among the farmers and commoners, his prestige was comparable to the Hokage's. Indeed, protecting Konoha couldn't be done quietly. His good friend's method was right. Whatever it was, as long as it was righteous, it had to be publicized. Whether it was preferential treatment for the village's clans or increased investment in orphanages and academies, it all had to be widely publicized. Otherwise, why would everyone in the village think his good friend was such a good grandfather? That didn't make sense. Didn't Hiruzen know about the despicable things he did back then? He probably knew better than I did the consequences, but why didn't he stop him, or even let himself do it? It's because someone was disobedient, unwilling to sacrifice for Konoha. No way. Hiruzen slammed his fist on the table, roaring, I promised Lady Mito that I would definitely let that girl, Nine-Tails, live a normal life in the village. What you're doing is wrong. Hiruzen took a drag of his cigarette, shook his head in disappointment, and said, you're too obsessed with power, Danzo. Danzo was stunned, pointing to himself. He shouldn't have said anything wrong. He clearly agreed with Lady Miro's request. Anyway, the Nine-Tails wasn't that important to him. After all, his good friend would never let him control it. After so many years of studying, he had long understood that only ruthlessness could get him what he wanted. But Hiruzen Sarutobi interrupted Danzo directly, not giving him a chance to speak. Instead, he sighed and said helplessly, you can go now. Reflect on your actions. And what about the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Don't interfere. We can't let Lady Miro down. Danzo opened his mouth, a string of curses running through his mind, unsure whether to utter them. But seeing his best friend's sharp gaze, he could only sigh and say, you'll regret this, Hiruzen. Damn it. It seems he's been too active these past few years, completely forgetting why he survived the heinous crimes he committed. He only has value by taking the blame and secretly protecting Konoha. Sigh. Hiruzen Sarutobi watched Danzo's departing figure, shook his head in disappointment, and said softly, "Someone come here." Lord Hawkage. A masked Anbu ninja entered and said respectfully. Advisor Danzo ignored Lady Miro's request and tried to control the Nine Tails. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a drag of his cigarette, hands behind his back, and said helplessly, "I stopped him. Be careful lately, make sure nothing happens to that girl, Nine Tails." I promise Lady Mito. Hiruzen Sarutobi said resolutely, his eyes filled with helplessness and sorrow, "I will make sure the girl lives happily in the village." Why are you so arrogant? Although they are just commoners, they are still villagers of Konoha. What are you trying to achieve by constantly building up your reputation? Become the fourth Hokage? If so, who will protect the roots of Konoha? Yes. The Anbu's eyes narrowed, and he nodded, saying, "I will arrange for the Anbu to guard Nine Tails 24 hours a day." As expected. It seems that Advisor Danzo is boasting over himself these past few years has a conspiracy. Otherwise, why would he be trying to control the Nine Tails? The Nine Tails matter absolutely cannot have any accidents. As the Hokage's direct subordinate, he will definitely carry out the mission diligently. Go down, Hiruzen Sarutobi sighed, "Be careful, don't let anything happen." Understood. The Anbu nodded and immediately left in a flash. Yuzashiagakure. Senator. Mushinki. Uchiha Itachi looked at his opponent with long, straight black hair with disdain, and said, "You and I have finally ended up on opposite sides." "How, Uchiha?" Mushinki said disdainfully, "Always a little brother. How could the Uchiha possibly compare to the Senju clan? The first Hokage was from the Senju clan, the second Hokage was from the Senju clan, the third Hokage was a disciple of the Senju clan. And the Uchiha clan? Besides the rogue ninja, Madara Uchiha, who died long ago, who else is there? So, the Senju clan won. What are you doing? What are you doing?" Madara Uchiha, lying in a wheelchair below, looked impatiently at the two weaklings above and said, "Hurry up and start, or you'll both get zeros." This look. Why does it seem familiar? Madara Uchiha's eyes became dazed, as if he was lost in memories. Back then, he and Hashirama trained their taijutsu together like this, throwing stones, competing to see who could pee the farthest. Of course, only Hashirama was peeing. If someone was watching him, he couldn't pee, so. That bastard Hashirama. Madara Uchiha muttered, "He always squatted behind me when I was peeing." And then, "Grandpa Madara, Grandpa Madara." Mikado Uchiha softly called out to Grandpa Madara. In recent years, Grandpa Madara often got lost in memories. It seems that old people tend to reminisce about the past. But, every time she asked, Grandpa Madara would impatiently close his eyes, which was a bit of a pity. She wanted to know what Grandpa Madara was like before. Why did he become as expressionless as the Uchiha? But she guessed, he must have had a very bad time, otherwise why wouldn't he tell her? "Grandpa Madara, this is today's ninja newspaper. The gatekeeper just delivered it." Mikado Uchiha handed over the newspaper and said, Madara Uchiha nodded silently, taking the ninja newspaper. In the land of whirlpools, he had gradually gotten used to reading newspapers. However, opening the newspaper, I saw the prominent headline. The passing of the old era, the arrival of the new era. Chapter 2. Chapter 261 Dreaming. We've all grown old, after all. Madara glanced at the newspaper, then expressionlessly closed it and shut his eyes. Once upon a time, he believed Hashirama's ideals were wrong. As long as ninjas existed in the ninja world, true peace was impossible unless those two overpowered individuals unified the entire ninja world and stripped the ninjas of their power. Only then could peace be brought to the entire ninja world, and only then could Hashirama's childhood ideal of everyone sitting down together to eat barbecue be realized without sacrifice. But, that idiot Hashirama always believed that peace could be achieved simply by everyone offering a little love, mutual understanding, and communication. What a ridiculous idea. Sure enough, in the year Hashirama died, war broke out again. Even more people died than in the clan-based battles of the past. And he himself, in the clan grounds, used his main Gekkyou Sharingan to see the hidden part of the clan monument. 1,000 years ago, a peaceful, desirable world without chakra, without ninjas. Therefore, he firmly believed that ninjas were the root cause of war, and he, Uchiha Madara, would prove his ideas right. He would destroy it all. But now, it's all just a mirage. He dominated the ninja world for so many years, surely he knew Ninjutsu? He was only misled because he wanted to tell Hashirama his method was wrong, but couldn't find a target. Who is plotting against me? Madara Uchiha closed his eyes, suddenly unleashing the aura of a ninja world overlord. Is it Zetsu? Or someone else? In these years of calm, he realized that Zetsu seemed to desperately want him to instigate war in the ninja world, constantly urging him to capture the tailed beasts. It was as if his thoughts were being controlled. Fortunately, in the land of whirlpools, he understood that the infinite Tsukuyomi was ultimately a dream, an illusion. Just like now, he liked to slap the Uchiha brats' butts, point at the Senju clan and call them idiots, and this feeling of gradually growing old, slowly becoming immobile, needing a clanswoman, many times older than himself, to push his wheelchair. Perhaps this was the real feeling. No wonder Hashirama loved wandering around Konoha, watching the children's smiles and listening to their greetings. That feeling brought him peace and helped him slowly understand the meaning of life. But, Hashirama, Madara Uchiha murmured, his eyes closed, a slow smile playing on his lips, you're still an idiot. So, in the end, your method didn't work. Only this red-haired brat's method allowed me to see the world I truly desired. But, we will eventually become the past. Unconsciously, a single, crystalline tear appeared in Madara's eye, slowly, sliding down his cheek. Mikado Uchiha stared in shock at her grandfather Madara, his eyes closed. He was actually crying? Was there something or someone in the newspaper that Madara cared about? And Hashirama? Had she misheard? Wasn't that the first Hokage's name, however? The rest is up to you. Madara Uchiha opened his eyes, looking at Mikado Uchiha expressionlessly. Seemingly oblivious to the fact that he had just been crying. He said calmly, this old man needs to rest. Then he wheeled himself away. Seeing Madara's state, Mikado sighed and murmured, it seems Grandpa Madara is very sad. He didn't even need her to push his wheelchair anymore. But Madara, with his back to Mikado, suddenly turned cold, his Rinnegan activating involuntarily. He murmured, Zetsu. It seemed he had to go and ask what was going on himself. No matter what, he was a teacher now, and some things, like what Hashirama did back then, he had to stop. Achoo, achoo. Zetsu rubbed his nose and muttered, that brat needs him to do something again? Otherwise, why did he have this strange feeling? Turning to look at White Zetsu, he said, have all the seeds been distributed? They've all been distributed. White Zetsu's clone nodded and said, as you instructed, don't mention the land of whirlpools at all. Say that these divine seeds were selflessly offered to you, the toiling people, by the goddess of the rabbit, her third son, the yin-yang saint. Hearing White Zetsu's clone's words, Black Zetsu nodded in satisfaction and said, well done. He was supposed to promote the land of whirlpool's reputation? Don't dream. He bought the seeds himself, why should he promote the land of whirlpool's reputation? Anyway, you don't know, so let him let these ants and bastards experience the greatness of their mother. I'm sure they'll be grateful. Encircle the cities from the countryside. Zetsu sneered, what a brilliant idea. If this strategic policy hadn't been implemented from the beginning, their goddess of the rabbit would probably have been destroyed long ago. But now, their goddess of the rabbit cult has grown strong, and even if the 5 great shinobi villages wanted to destroy them, it wouldn't be so easy. However, there are simply too few strong individuals. Zetsu sighed and said, I wonder how Lord Madara is doing? He could already sense that the war was nearing its end, and it was about time to bring Grandpa Madara back to his cave. Otherwise, always having him stay with that red-haired brat gave him a sense of unease. That wretched brat definitely knew something. Uzumaki-jun yawned, stretched, and looked at the spring rain outside, muttering, the war is about to end. Konoha Year 36. The captain of the Konoha assassination squad led a dozen members deep into Sunagakure, killing countless high-ranking Sunagakure members, causing immense panic in the village. At the same time, the name of Konoha's White Fang, Hatake Tsukumo, spread throughout the ninja world. Although all the Sand Village ninja hated Hatake Tsukumo with a vengeance, they were helpless against Konoha's White Fang's elusive assassination techniques. Damn it, the third Kazekage said, his face ashen. Still haven't captured that Hatake Tsukumo? The Sand Village, which had been in a very favorable position, was now locked in a stalemate because Konoha had also purchased scientific weaponry. But ever since that white-haired bastard appeared, the Sand Village had begun to slowly lose ground. Still can't find him? A sand ninja shook his head and said. That Konoha White Fang's assassination techniques are just too amazing. They simply couldn't detect him. Chiyo's son should still be ahead, right? The third Kazakage said, resting his chin on his hands. Send him there. Chiyo. How? I believe he's definitely capable of capturing him. Yes, the sand ninja replied respectfully. Chapter 3. 3 chapters today. I failed my provincial exam, what a pity. Chapter 262 Chief Engineer of the Land of Whirlpools. Chira, wake up. A woman with long, straight black hair slumped on the desert sand, tightly embracing a young man with short red hair, tears streaming down her face. Don't sleep, wake up. You. Opposite them stood a man with spiky white hair, a long sword in his hand, staring blankly at the scene before him. He had seen far too many such scenes since becoming a ninja. Death was the norm for war and for ninjas. The sole purpose of a Konoha ninja was victory, even if their hands were stained with blood. Only then would the village become stronger and more prosperous, and their children be able to live in a peaceful, harmonious, and happy village. The reason you can't see darkness isn't because there is no darkness in this world, but because someone has done everything in their power to keep it hidden from your sight. Therefore, for the sake of the village, Hatake Tsukumo coldly raised his family's ancestral short sword, facing the woman slumped on the desert sand, tears streaming down her face, her eyes glazed, helplessly embracing her husband. Ninjas show no mercy. Chiro, wake up. The woman with long, straight black hair, tears streaming down her face, stared blankly at the motionless Chiro she was holding tightly. Scorpion is still waiting for us to go back. Please wake up. We promised Scorpion would go back and teach him how to make puppets. Chiro, please wake up. We're not going to be ninjas anymore. The more the woman spoke, the more tears fell, and she murmured, we're not going to be ninjas anymore, so please don't abandon me. Wake up. Chiro, since you won't wake up. The woman's lips curled into a desperate smile, and she closed her eyes tightly. Let me go with you. Chiro was gone, so what was the point of her living? But Scorpion. I'm sorry. It was Mom who was sorry. Sigh. Hatake Tsukumo sighed as he saw the woman's death wish, gripping his short sword tightly in his right hand. Then, PFFT. There is no mercy among ninjas. Even though this woman was determined to die, as a ninja, he still swung his sword seriously. Hatake Tsukumo sheathed his smooth, bloodless dagger, glanced coldly at the couple lying on the desert ground, then calmly continued walking forward. The war was not over yet. As expected. Uzumaki-jun looked at Sasori's parents lying before him and said helplessly, we're still too late. That Zetsu, really, is he that afraid to come to the land of whirlpools? He only sent a white Zetsu clone, and after saying that, he just planted a tree on the spot and didn't even go back. All he did was make him do some extra work, and now he doesn't even dare to send his real body. The yin-yang saint? Uzumaki-jun squinted and muttered, looks like he's gotten a little cocky after finding the organization. Yin-yang people are such rottenness. If he keeps acting so cheeky, then he'll lead the 5 great ninja villages to destroy that organization and contribute to the peace of the ninja world. Besides, he's always kept Zetsu's mother in his heart. He's always kept saving Zetsu's mother in his heart. Is it too much to ask him to run some errands? Not at all. Uzumaki soon shook his head in disappointment. These were Sasori's parents, the future chief mechanics of the land of whirlpools. Whether the land of whirlpools could ever drive phantom tanks and Gundams in the future depended on them. They're not completely dead yet, Uzumaki soon murmured, crouching down close to Sasori's parents. They just haven't stopped beating. Then, he pulled out 2 injection vials from his system. I wonder if life-saving potions will even work now? That Zetsu is too slow to notify them. Although the Grand Elder and the others had tried injecting them into frogs that had only been dead for a short time, and the frogs had come back to life, it was unclear how effective they would be on humans. Huh? Uzumaki soon narrowed his eyes at the red-haired youth, a slight smile playing on his lips. It worked. The heartbeat was faint, but it was definitely there. It seemed he didn't need to bother with engineers anymore. As for whether they would work in the land of whirlpools after being revived? Please, those Sky Ninja thought the same thing back then, and they were doing quite well now, aren't they? So, they sealed their chakra and locked them up for a few years. Now, let's take them to the hospital in the land of whirlpools for emergency treatment. Then, While we're at it, let's clean up the mess. After all, Sasori's parents are dead, and who else but Hatake Tsukumo should take the blame? Summer of Konoha year 36. A shocking event occurred in the ninja world. Hatake Tsukumo, captain of the Konoha assassination squad, after assassinating the Sand Village commander, performed unspeakable acts on the commander and his wife's corpses. It's said, their bodies are no longer visible. They've probably already merged with a desert of the land of wind, drifting in the wind, enacting a scene of "You are the wind, I am the sand." Konoha. Chiyo roared, her eyes wide and bloodshot. Damn Konoha. Her beloved son and daughter-in-law died so tragically. My son. Chiyo cried, clutching Ebizo's collar. Why did you send him to the battlefield? Why? Scorpion was just a child. What should we do now? Chiyo's tears streamed down her face as she said listlessly, what should I do? Calm down, sister. Ebizo was filled with anger and sorrow at the thought of his nephew dying like this, his body never to be found. He had been single for so many years, always treating Chiyo like his own child, and now, he never imagined he would never see him again. Sasori is more important now. Ebizo took a deep breath to calm himself and said reassuringly, he's Chira's only child, our grandson. Yes, yes. Chiyo, hearing Ebizo's words, immediately snapped back to reality and said frantically, Sasori absolutely cannot know about this, he absolutely cannot know. Hatake Tsukumo. Thinking of this, Chiyo's tears fell again, her expression contorted as she said, I must get revenge, I must get revenge. Damn Konoha, damn Hatake Tsukumo. What did the Kazakage say? Chiyo took a deep breath, her bloodshot eyes fixed on Ebizo, and said, what will the Sand Village do? The Kazakage. Ebizo, hearing his sister's words, paused for a moment and said, the war is about to end. Just like you said back then, the Sand Village is no match for Konoha. Now the village has sacrificed too many ninjas, so the Kazakage wants to. He didn't know what to say anymore. The Kazakage was really. But. Sigh. The Kazakage wasn't wrong. The war was nearing its end, the village had suffered so much, and with the anti-war sentiment, it was indeed time to end it. This was the best option for the village at the moment. Hearing Ebizo's words, Chiyo froze, then tightly closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. She knew that ending the war was best for Tsunagakure, but as a mother, a grandmother, she couldn't do it. That damned Hatake Tsukumo didn't even leave behind the bodies of her son and daughter-in-law, so expecting her to do nothing and quietly watch it all happen, she couldn't do it. She wanted to be willful for once. Tell Lord Kazakage, I'm going to the battlefield in Konoha, Chiyo said calmly, opening her eyes. If the war ends, I'll resign from my advisory position and peacefully fish in the back village. She knew what the Kazakage wanted to do, what he wanted to achieve, but now, she didn't care anymore. Sister. Ebizo opened his mouth upon hearing Chiyo's words, but finally sighed and said, since that's how it is. Then let me keep you company. Fishing. It's not bad either. I've been doing it for so many years, I'm tired. Ebizo smiled. If you quit, we can spend more time with Sasori. Chapter 1. Chapter 263 I clearly didn't do anything. That crazy woman. Hatake Tsukumo said angrily, looking at the Sand Village's menacing forces not far away. I didn't do anything. He only stabbed them once, how did it become destroying evidence? Did the Sand Village ninjas take too long to collect the bodies, causing them to be fed to the dogs? Otherwise, how could those two corpses just disappear for no reason? But, you took so long to collect the bodies, so it's not his fault. How could he call them perverts and corpse torture maniacs while yelling and charging at them? Have they no shame? Besides, even if he really did do it, so what? Can ninja actions be called corpse torture? Really not you? Dan looked at Hatake Tsukumo with a strange expression and said. Originally, after Hatake Tsukumo's assassination, the Sand Village was about to surrender, and he was going to use his victory prestige to return to the village and enjoy the villagers' respect, but unexpectedly, the Sand Village went mad? They were all yelling and charging at them desperately. No, Hatake Tsukumo said irritably. I have a very strong samurai spirit. He would never do anything like torturing a corpse. But, Dan, seeing Hatake Tsukumo's expression, believed him and shook his head helplessly, saying, according to the intelligence gathered by the spies, they indeed didn't see the corpse. So, they can find it? Hatake Tsukumo narrowed his eyes and muttered, Who exactly is trying to harm me? It was me. Uzumaki-jun nodded and said, you know the war is about to end. Therefore, the land of whirlpools must prepare to open up to the outside world. Keeping it closed off like this is not conducive to the development of the land of whirlpools. This policy was proposed by me. No, I'm not concerned about whether it's open or not. Kakuzu helplessly flipped through the documents and said, although you've done so many things that have angered both heaven and man, and the land of whirlpools will be ganged up on if other ninja villages find out. But I don't care about any of that. No matter how many bloodlines you collect, it's none of my business. That's what I'm concerned about, Kakuzu said, pointing to the document. Why give foreign merchants a 3-year tax and rent exemption policy? He'll lose a lot of money. To attract foreign merchants, Uzumaki-jun sighed helplessly. You know what happened last time? Kato worked so hard, and only managed to attract a few merchants. Merchants are the most sensitive people, so they simply don't believe that a small country like the land of whirlpools can provide them with protection. Besides, how can ninja affairs be called theft? Only when commerce develops will the land of whirlpools prosper. If these merchants aren't given a taste of success and encouraged to join the land of whirlpools, no matter how good or cheap the goods are, they won't come. Currently, relying solely on the land of whirlpools exports can't keep up with production. Especially since production will gradually increase in the future, the land of whirlpools can't consume it all internally, so it will definitely have to rely on these foreign merchants to import goods and sell them in their countries. Otherwise, with dozens of countries in the ninja world, Kato would be exhausted. 3 months isn't enough? Kakuzu paused for a moment, then said fiercely, no one can take money out of my hands, this is my bottom line. This doesn't mean taking money out of your hands. It's just 3 years less in taxes. Uzumaki-jun looked at Kakuzu speechlessly, sighed, and said, this is just a suggestion. We'll ask Kato about it later, since he understands business matters better. Okay. Kakuzu breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing Uzumaki-jun's words. He decided to go talk to that fat guy later and ask him what he thought. Taking his sword. What about this? The mechanical industry department? Kakuzu pointed to another one and asked, isn't this the same as the research department? Yes, the mechanical industry department is indeed part of the research department. Uzumaki-jun nodded and said, the research department can no longer meet the daily technological research needs of the land of whirlpools. Mechanical, biological, and all sorts of stuff all mixed together. It's okay in the short term, but if it goes on for a long time and there are too many projects, it will cause problems sooner or later if it's not subdivided. After all, these days, in the research institutes of the land of whirlpools, no matter what you know or are familiar with, everyone flocks to join in on any research project. Now that they've brought Sasori's parents over, it's time to reorganize the research institutes. As for failing to save Sasori's parents, at most, he'll go to the Sands village to kidnap Sasori and train him. It's time to reorganize them. So, is it profitable? Kakuzu stroked his chin, narrowing his eyes, and asked, is this machinery profitable? Rebuilding a research base costs money. If there's no profit, he'll invest less. Not investing at all is impossible. The research institutes are now a major moneymaker in the land of whirlpools. The previous arms sales have basically recouped the investment of the past few years, even increasing it several hundred times over, especially those scientific ninja swords, which sold for national treasure prices. Kakuzu can still afford a little money, but it hurts a little. Profitable. Uzumaki-jun narrowed his eyes, a smile playing on his lips, and said, high technology is always profitable. If it weren't profitable, why would the original world recruit so many technical talents? As for when he'd start making money, who knows about inventions? Right now, he's worried about whether Scorpion's parents have woken up yet. Kyanluo, the woman with long, straight black hair, dressed in a hospital gown, suddenly opened her eyes. Then, clutching her stomach in pain, she murmured, is this hell? The woman looked around in confusion. There was a bed, a light, and she could feel pain. This place was no different from her original world. Where's Chiro? The woman clutched her wound in pain, looked around, and said through tears, Chiro, where are you? Chiro? A girl with light blonde hair, dressed in a white medical coat, walked in, adjusted her glasses, and said, that red-haired youth? Who are you? The woman asked warily, seeing the girl suddenly enter. Where is this? Where is this again? Is this the world of the dead? I am your attending physician, Yakushi Kabuto Nanao. Nanao adjusted her glasses and said, "This isn't the world of the dead, but the land of whirlpools. As for your husband, where is he?" The woman asked anxiously upon hearing Nanao's words. What happened to him? She ignored the world of the dead in the land of whirlpools. All she wanted now was to see Chiro, to know how he was doing. Calm down. Seeing the woman's anxious expression, Nanao sighed and said, "He's in the emergency room. Still in critical condition. So, you need to be prepared. Although we'll do everything we can to save him." "Chiro's still alive?" The woman was surprised, her eyes red and filled with tears. "He's still alive?" "Alive means he's still in critical condition." Nanao nodded and said, "Don't worry, trust the doctors. We'll do everything we can." "Still alive?" The woman paused, tears welling in her eyes, a faint smile on her face, and murmured, "Is Chiro still alive?" Nanao sighed. Did she understand what he said? Although he's alive, he's still not out of danger. Even though the life-saving medicine from the land of whirlpools is very effective, now no matter how much life-saving medicine Chiro receives, it won't be absorbed and will be wasted. He's been hanging there for too long, causing part of his body to reject anything with life. So, he's not alive yet. Nanao opened his mouth, wanting to persuade her to calm down, but then he thought of a woman who had lost her beloved husband, and sighed inwardly. Let her be happy for a while. "Doctor," the woman came to her senses, clutching her wound, quickly stood up, and hesitated before saying, Could she go see him? Chapter 2. That's all. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264. Let's go see Grandpa Ban. Summer of Konoha year 36. Enraged by Tsukumo Hatake's immoral actions, the newly appointed Sans Village commander, Chio, launched a furious attack on Konoha. Faced with this situation, Konoha's commander, Dan Kato, had no choice but to hold on, as he couldn't afford to lose. Moreover, Dan believed this war wouldn't last long. This reckless fighting style would inevitably anger the Sand Village's leadership, so, perhaps after this war, the former flower of the ninja world would have to retire. But, he couldn't be as reckless as others. Therefore, the Konoha ninja were immediately hampered by the Sand Village's attack, especially with the Sand Village commander's poison causing Konoha a major headache. The medical camp was now filled with ninjas, most not wounded by cuts, but poisoned. No one in their camp could cure Commander Chio's poison. We need to think of something. Dan sighed, looking at the medical camp filled with Konoha ninja lying in wait. If we can't find an antidote soon, we'll be in serious trouble. More than half of them are lying there. If Chio continues to release the poison, Konoha will truly be finished. If he, as the commander, is defeated, how can he run for Hokage? There'll probably only be one path left, to die on the battlefield. Don't worry, Hatake Tsukumo patted Kato Dan's shoulder with a smile. The Hokage just sent a message via Flying Eagle, he'll be sending people to help. They'll definitely be able to solve the Sand Village's poison. Who? Lady Udatane? Dan's eyes lit up at Hatake Tsukumo's words. If it's Lady Udatane Kaharu, we'll definitely be able to cure the Sand Village's poison. Although Lady Udatane Kaharu is a high-ranking advisor to Konoha, don't forget she's also the current head of Konoha's medical department. Her medical skills are extremely high, she'll definitely have a way to solve the Sand Village's poison. I don't know, Hatake Tsukumo shrugged. The letter didn't say, but I'm sure it'll be fine now. That crazy woman is really. I've told her so many times, she only stabbed my son and daughter-in-law once, killing them both. She didn't do anything else. Why can't she understand human language? But why? The more I explain, the crazier that woman gets. She's acting like she doesn't care about her life anymore. Sigh, this is a headache. Hatake Tsukumo shook his head helplessly and said, it was almost over. How did this happen? Who took the body? Konoha, or Tsunagakure, or is there some third-party force hiding here? It's giving me a headache. Listen, this time I'm going to the battlefield in Tsunagakure. Tsunade raised her fist and said fiercely, don't you dare slack off, you lecherous toad. If I find out, don't blame my fists. Don't worry. Jiraiya flicked his flowing white hair, revealing a confident smile, and gave a thumbs up with his right hand, saying, with me, the Toad Sage, here, nothing will happen. However, bang! Tsunade's fist struck Jiraiya's face directly, sending him flying. She turned to Orochimaru and said calmly, I'm counting on you now. Also, keep a close eye on Jiraiya, that lecher is completely unreliable. I will be careful. Orochimaru smiled, nodded, and said, I'll keep an eye on that idiot. Then I'm off. Hearing Orochimaru's words, Tsunade turned her head, took a step forward, but stopped. I've already forgiven you. The incident with Naoki really wasn't your fault. So, you can take back that fake smile. Disgusting. After speaking, Tsunade said to the ninjas who had gone with her, let's move out. Yes, Lady Tsunade, the Konoha ninja replied respectfully, rising to follow behind Tsunade. Orochimaru, upon hearing Tsunade's words, a smile, unseen for a long time, appeared on his lips. Watching Tsunade's retreating figure, he whispered, thank you. Now you can rest easy, Jiraiya said, playfully punching Orochimaru's chest. I saw that fake smile, and it disgusted me too. It was like a snake's smile. So sinister. Then, a wistful smile appeared on his lips as he watched Tsunade's departing figure, saying, Tsunade seems to be in a good mood today. Their team's atmosphere had become strange lately. Even he, the Toad Sage, couldn't seem to liven things up. It was truly unsettling. But now, it seemed to have recovered considerably. Orochimaru, standing to the side, gave Jiraiya a strange look. Did this idiot not know why Tsunade was happy? After all, Tsunade was going to the battlefield of Tsunagakure. Sigh, has anyone ever told you you're an idiot? Orochimaru shook his head helplessly, looking at Jiraiya with pity, and said, just like a toad. You keep saying that. Jiraiya retorted, annoyed. And don't say that in front of Gamabunta, or the toads will be unhappy. That's racial slur. He's practically insulting the toads of Mount Myaboku. Idiot, Orochimaru said calmly to Jiraiya before turning and leaving. It seems this idiot can't be relied on, so, he'll have to be busy for a while. He wonders if the antidote Tsunade left behind is enough? Hanzo's poison from the salamander is quite troublesome. However, hey, what do you mean by this? Jiraiya said to Orochimaru's back with dissatisfaction. Who's an idiot? I'm the Toad Sage of Mount Myaboku. A sage, you know? Just like the first Hokage back then. He turned his head, took a deep look in the direction where Tsunade's back was no longer visible, then turned back to Orochimaru and said, I guess even the old man can't beat me now. But, idiot. Orochimaru didn't even turn his head, his back to Jiraiya, a slight smile on his lips, and muttered, what an idiot. The land of whirlpools. Mikado Nichin. Konan, carrying her tray, sat down next to Uchiha Mikado and asked, where's Grandpa Madara? I haven't seen him lately. Grandpa Madara is getting too old, Uchiha Mikado said gently, looking up. So he hasn't been feeling well lately. I see. Konan, spoon in her mouth, frowned slightly and thought, then suddenly her eyes lit up. How about we go see Grandpa Madara after class? Nagato, Yohiko, what do you think? Would that disturb Grandpa Madara's rest? Yohiko thought for a moment and said, after all, sick people definitely need rest. That's true. Konan nodded, pouting, and said, if we go, it'll be troublesome if we disturb Grandpa Madara's rest. As for Nagato, he didn't say anything, continuing to eat his meal with his head down. Anyway, it didn't matter whether he suggested it or not, in the end. Konan would make her own decision. She'd better just eat her food quietly. And for some reason, was it because of puberty? His chakra reserves had increased significantly recently, giving him a huge appetite. He used to only need 3 large bowls of rice, but now he eats 5, almost double. It's a real headache. He wonders how much he will need to eat to feel full when he's an adult. Are you going to see Grandpa Madara? Muzinshu asked, carrying a tray. Please call me. Me too. Uchiha, who had seen Muzinshu approach, also came over. Glared at him, and then said expressionlessly, no matter what aspect, our Uchiha clan won't fall behind. The frog team stared speechlessly at the two rivals. The Mew clan and the Uchiha clan, what a mess. Why are they at odds? They don't even know why. Are you sure you want to go? Konan asked, frowning. What if Grandpa Madara makes you run laps again? Grandpa Madara really hates you guys. It doesn't matter. Muzinshu said casually. The Senju clan isn't afraid of any challenge, and Grandpa Madara is sick so he can't see if we've run or not. We can just slip away. HMPH. Uchiha snorted and said, the Uchiha clan is the same, but our Uchiha clan absolutely doesn't cheat. We'll definitely finish the race. This idiot. Mu Zinshu looked at Uchiha speechlessly. In that case, their Senju clan wouldn't lose. It's just that Grandpa Madara always makes them run dozens of laps. It's exhausting. In that case. Seeing how much these students cared about Grandpa Madara, Uchiha Mikado smiled and said, I'll take you all after class. She thought that seeing so many children would help Grandpa Madara recover from his grief. No matter what, Lady Mito had passed away, and Grandpa Madara shouldn't dwell on the past. Seeing so many students still thinking of him would surely make Grandpa Madara happy. Chapter 1. Chapter 265 I don't want to be a ninja anymore. What's wrong? The woman with long, straight black hair looked anxiously at the red-haired youth lying on the hospital bed, who had suddenly frowned. Are you feeling unwell? Should we call the doctor? She had recovered quite a bit during this time and was ready to be discharged, but because Kaianluo had just passed the critical period and was slowly recovering, she had stayed at the hospital to take care of him. But even now, she still couldn't believe what she was seeing. You see, she had originally planned to go to the Pure Land of Bliss with Kaianluo, but she never expected that they would both be alive in the end. It's alright. Hearing his wife's worry, Chiro said apologetically, I'm sorry, Hiko. I shouldn't have taken you to the battlefield back then, otherwise you wouldn't have. No, I don't blame you. Hiko smiled gently, it was all my own decision. And now? Aren't we still alive? Yes. Hearing Hiko's words, Chiro was stunned, then said with emotion, we're still alive. We don't know how Sasori is, and Mom, the village must be very worried. They probably won't believe we're still alive. But Chiro frowned again, muttering, why did the Land of Whirlpools save us? What kind of conspiracy was behind this? As a ninja, he couldn't believe that Konoha's allies would save an enemy fighting against Konoha. So, the Land of Whirlpools must want something from them? Although Chiro wasn't afraid, he didn't want Hiko to die again. However, hearing Chiro's words, Zizi fell silent. She opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. A regretful yet resolute expression appeared on her face. Finally, she took a deep breath and said seriously, Chiro, I have something to tell you. What is it? Chiro looked at Zizi's expression and asked in surprise, what happened? Zizi looked into Chiro's eyes, shook her head, and said with determination, I don't want to be a ninja anymore. This. Chiro was stunned for a moment when he heard Zizi's words. Then, he smiled and said, then let's not be ninjas anymore. Let's go back to Sunagakure and resign from our positions with Ikazukage. It just so happens that we haven't spent much time with Sasori since he was born. When we resign, we'll definitely have a lot of time to spend with Sasori. Besides, I promised Sasori that I would teach him. However, before Chiro could finish speaking. Chiro, listen to me. Zizi interrupted Chiro, her eyes reddening and filled with tears as she looked at him. I'm sorry, Chiro, I'm sorry. Hearing Zizi's words, Chiro fell silent. He now understood what Zizi meant, but he didn't know how the Land of Whirlpools had threatened her. Chiro clutched his wound, propped himself up with a pillow, and frowned, trying to sit up despite the pain. Seeing Chiro like this, Zizi quickly helped him up, but tears continued to stream down her face. Feeling the tears dripping onto her hands, her heart trembled. As Zizi supported him, Kaianlu quickly turned around, hugged Zizi tightly, and whispered, I'm so sorry. Don't cry. If Sasori sees this, he'll definitely think I bullied his mother. But Zizi's eyes welled up with tears, and she choked out, I promised the Land of Whirlpools. I knew it. Kaianlu patted Zizi's back gently, you don't need to tell me, I'll personally ask the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools later. And I'm so sorry. So, Kaianlu released her embrace, looked at Zizi, and said seriously, whatever you want. I will agree to it. Seeing Kaianlu's serious eyes, Zizi's heart trembled. Finally, she took a deep breath and said earnestly, I want to stay in the Land of Whirlpools. I want you to live. Hearing Zizi's words, Chiro paused for a moment, then smiled and said, in that case, we'll both stay in the Land of Whirlpools. Anyway, they probably all think we're dead, and they believe Mom will take good care of Sasori. So, I'll stay in the Land of Whirlpools with you. Hiko was stunned, tears streaming down her face again, choking out, "Thank you. I should be thanking you." Chiro hugged Hiko again, his voice earnest. From this moment on, Chiro and Hiko are no longer Jonin of the Sands village. He would spend more time with Hiko. But, he didn't know what the land of whirlpools wanted them for. Worry filled Chiro's eyes. If it was harmful to the Sand village, he wouldn't agree to it no matter what. So, when the time came, he would beg the land of whirlpools to spare Hiko. He wouldn't let Hiko get hurt again. "Lord Madara, what's wrong?" Afeti asked cautiously, looking at Madara lying dazedly in the rocking chair. "Are you feeling unwell? Should I take you to see a doctor?" Madara, hearing the voice, snapped out of his reverie, glanced at Afeti, shook his head, and said indifferently, "No need. And why aren't you going to daycare today? No matter what, as a teacher, you can't be lazy. You should know that's wrong." "No, Afeti isn't being lazy." Afeti quickly shook his head and said, "I'm just taking a day off today." "Is that so?" Madara nodded, then fell silent again. After a while, he stared at Afeti and said expressionlessly, "Zetsu." Just then, ding dong, ding dong. Before Madara could finish speaking, the doorbell rang. Toby glanced at the doorbell, then looked at Madara again and said, "What is it? Does Lord Madara have any orders?" "No." Madara stopped looking at Toby, turned back, lay back in his chair, and said expressionlessly, "Go open the door. See what those brats are doing here." "Yes, Lord Madara." Toby quickly stood up, turned around, and his heart trembled. Madara's gaze just now was so scary. And Zetsu, what could it be? Meanwhile, Uchiha Madara, with his back to Toby, narrowed his eyes, a slight smile playing on his lips, and murmured softly in his rocking chair, "Toby is a good boy. No matter what." Toby was created from Hashirame's cells, and for so long, since leaving Hashirama and appearing, he had been by Toby's side taking care of him, so. Toby must be a good boy. "Mom, I'm home." A man with short hair and sharp teeth smiled as he opened the door. "Look what I brought you." "Oh?" An elderly woman, leaning on a cane, squinted as she came out and said, "Juzo's off work." "Yes." Juzo quickly and carefully helped the old woman, saying, "Just wait for me inside." "You're so old, why are you wandering around?" The old woman chuckled. "How is work today?" Juzo paused for a moment after hearing the old woman's words, then said, "It was good. I worked hard today, and the captain praised our team." "That's good, that's good." The old woman's face lit up with joy, then she looked at Juzo seriously and said, "Don't cause any more trouble. Behave yourself and do your labor reform. Then His Highness will forgive you." And then, the old woman said with anticipation, "I'll get a wife and have a big, fat grandson. Then I can be a grandmother. Did you hear me?" The old woman grabbed her cane and raised it at Biwa Juzo, saying, "Don't disappoint me. Or else, I'll just quit." Fine, whatever you say." Biwa Juzo said helplessly, "The team is giving out a piece of char sweet pork as a reward today. I'll make it later, and we can have it together. Marrying and having children." He didn't even know if he could find a wife looking like this. And a look of guilt crossed Biwa Juzo's eyes. He sighed and murmured, "I wonder how Kirigakira is doing? And Sujetsu Hazuki. It was his brother who had wronged him." "What's wrong?" The old woman suddenly heard his voice and said, "What did you just say?" "Nothing." Biwa Juzo revealed his sharp teeth with a smile and said, "Sit down in the living room now, and wait for me to finish making dinner." The 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. The once cold-blooded and ruthless assassin, he didn't know when, started to change. Chapter 2. That's all. Chapter 266 Integration of the People. The best way to integrate a Kirigakira ninja into the land of whirlpools is to let them establish families there, either by adopting a father or mother, or getting married and having children. This is thanks to the fact that ninja villages don't really have a concept of a nation. After all, most ninjas were wandering around before the villages were established, and family was what they longed for most. Hashirama probably never imagined that the ninja village system he created to end clan-based warfare would eventually become a war in the form of a nation. But all the benefits go to the ninja villages. As for the nation, they can only follow along and cheer. Don't be fooled by the fact that the daimyo seems to have decision-making power over the village chief. In fact, the daimyo almost always agrees to any list proposed by the village. After all, If they disagree, they might end up with a few unknown ninjas by their side. Just look at how Asuma secretly joined the 12 Guardian Ninja in the anime. Wasn't it because Kazuma believed that the cage were unnecessary and that the real power of the ninjas should be held by the daimyo of the Land of Fire? So, unsurprisingly, all the ninjas who didn't identify with the village ended up dying, and the daimyo started to back down, having to consult Konoha before even considering re-establishing the 12 Guardian Ninjas. The ninja world clearly had hope for unification, but Hashirama abandoned it. Uzumaki-jun shook his head helplessly, saying, "It's truly a pity. After all, these ninjas lacked any concept of a nation from the beginning to the end. Trying to integrate them into one big family at that time was incredibly difficult. Just look at those who sacrificed themselves for Konoha. The Senju and Uchiha clans were good families. The village had only been established for less than a century, and there was already a bunch of foolish, benevolent ninjas who slaughtered their entire families for the sake of village harmony. Throughout the past 2 years, the Kurigakure ninja should have gotten used to life in the land of whirlpools by now," Uzumaki-jun murmured, narrowing his eyes. "It's time to let this revolutionary fighter, Sujetsu Hazuki, finish the job. I'm sorry." Looking at the furious Sujetsu Hazuki before him, Biwajuzo paused for a moment before saying, "In the end, he still betrayed the village." Today, after get off work, Biwajuzo, who had been carrying 2 fish home to cook, didn't expect Sujetsu Hazuki to come looking for him. So, he had no choice but to follow him to the rooftop where they used to live. The rooftop of the labor camp dormitory. Most of the Kurigakure ninja have now joined the land of whirlpools. Of course, some are hesitant to agree because of their families in Kurigakure. After all, if they become rogue ninja, their families will definitely be. So, they still dare not betray the village. Not long ago, the Whirlpool Ninja began to relax restrictions on the movement of Kurigakure ninja who had reformed and joined the land of whirlpools, but they still need to go to their work sites for labor reform every morning. However, Juzo Biwa knew this wouldn't last long. Over the years, he'd come to understand the true purpose of the land of whirlpools. The land of whirlpools wanted to take these dozen or so Kurigakure ninja under their control. So, the result was predictable: under humane management and in a harmonious, non-discriminatory environment, these Kurigakure ninja had gradually assimilated into the land of whirlpools over the years. But some Kurigakure ninja still persisted. Among them was the Kurigakure hero standing before him, Sujetsu Hazuki. He hadn't given up on returning to his village. For these ninja who hadn't submitted because of family or other reasons, the land of whirlpools didn't release them, keeping them in labor camps. "You traitor." Sujetsu Hazuki glared angrily at Juzo Biwa, tears welling in his eyes, and said, Why? Tell me, why did you give up? I thought you'd be the last to give up, but you were here even earlier than me, and you even found a mother?" Thinking of this, Sujetsu Hazuki's face contorted with pain. These Kurigakure ninja who had joined the land of whirlpools were starting to receive wages, and some had even started families. It was truly something he envied. He had started first, so why did it end like this? "So, what did Kurigakure ever do to you?" Sujetsu Hazuki pleaded, tears welling in his eyes. "We all agreed to go back to the village together. Why were you living such a happy life? He heard you'd even made some money and were planning to renovate your godmother's dilapidated house." Sujetsu Hazuki also wanted that kind of life. But the organization wouldn't allow it, and he was helpless. After all, there were still a few ninja who hesitated because they had families in their villages. Sujetsu Hazuki's mission wasn't finished yet. Biwajuzo opened his mouth, but after a moment of silence, he said, "I'm sorry." He had given up first, so as a man, Biwajuzo didn't bother to explain. He had wronged Sujetsu Hazuki. Sujetsu Hazuki was silent for a moment, then, seemingly using all his remaining strength, let out a deep sigh. "Go," he said in a low voice, "but I won't give up." He walked to Biwajuzo's side, patted Biwajuzo's shoulder, and smiled at him. "Finally. I wish you happiness. So, after you know the truth, don't kill me anymore." Sujetsu Hazuki should go on to his next mission. Then, looking utterly dejected and abandoned, he shook his head and left. Tsukayao Hazuki. Biwajuzo watched Sujetsu Hazuki's lonely figure, tears welling in his eyes, and choked out softly, "Thank you, you are indeed a good person, always thinking of them, the Kurigakure ninja." Biwajuzo understood why Sujetsu Uzuki had come to him. On one hand, he refused to surrender to the ninja village because of his inner sense of righteousness. On the other hand, he didn't want the surrendered Kurigakure ninja to suffer the pangs of conscience. So, this time, Sujetsu Uzuki sought him out to tell the other Kurigakure ninja that if he escaped, he wouldn't tell the Mizukage, allowing these traitors to live peacefully in the land of whirlpools. Sujetsu Uzuki is a good person. Juzo Biwa wiped away his tears, looking at the setting sun, and murmured, "It's getting dark, Mom must be very worried now. Time to go home and cook." With a hint of longing, he looked at the fish in his hand and said blankly, if Kurigakure could be like the land of whirlpools, civilians and ninjas could live together peacefully without barriers. Here, he truly felt that ninjas were not just tools, but people, living, breathing people. Summer of Konoha year 36. Kurigakure ninja Sujetsu Uzuki attacked the whirlpool ninjas of the land of whirlpools and fled the land of whirlpools. Although the Yuzu shinobi sent troops to pursue him, they still didn't know what was going on. Sujetsu Uzuki had actually broken the chakra seal placed on him by the land of whirlpools and escaped underwater. So, the Yuzu shinobi still hadn't caught him. "Your Highness," Kisame Hijiri knelt on the ground, his front legs touching the earth, and said, "What is it?" Uzumaki Hijiri sat in his office chair, sighed, and said, "Get up and we'll talk." Kisame Hijiri raised his head and said sincerely, "I hope you can spare those Kurigakure ninja, Impossible." Uzumaki Hijiri shook his head and said sharply, "I have given up hope on these stubborn Kurigakure ninja. If we continue to let them run wild, they might become the second Sujetsu Uzuki." Uzumaki Hijiri's eyes narrowed as he stared at Kisame Hijiri and said calmly, "You know, the land of whirlpools has over 400,000 people, and they can't withstand a combined invasion from the 5 great ninja villages." Kisame Hijiri opened his mouth, and finally sighed, saying, "I will try to persuade them again." He hadn't expected this. Sujetsu Uzuki saw him yesterday and ran away that very night. Indeed, there are too many secrets in the land of whirlpools that other ninja villages can't know, otherwise, they'll definitely be finished. And Sujetsu Uzuki really hasn't given up. But him? He acted like a coward, choosing to submit to the land of whirlpools. "They also have their reasons," said Biwajuzo. "So please give me another chance. If, in the end, I can't, I will personally end their lives. Let him do one last thing for Sujetsu Uzuki's code of honor." Uzumaki-jun looked at Biwajuzo speechlessly. What a man. He actually thought of using the lives of these Kurigakure ninja to save the lives of those who had already submitted to the land of whirlpools, and incidentally fulfill Sujetsu Uzuki's code of honor. But he wanted it all. Since that's the case, Uzumaki-jun nodded, saying calmly, "I'll give you 3 more days. If after 3 days..." His eyes sharpened. "The land of whirlpools will make its move directly. 3 days should be enough time for that fat man to act. Therefore, the land of whirlpools will ultimately give them hope again in their despair." Chapter 1. Chapter 267. The war is about to end. "Dan, please don't be hurt." Tsunade, her face covered in blood, stared at Dan in disbelief, tears welling in her eyes, and said frantically, "You'll be alright. You'll definitely be alright. I'll save you." Tsunade pressed her hands against Dan's chest, her eyes brimming with tears, and choked out, "Dan, I will definitely be able to save you." However, Dan opened his mouth, as if trying to say something, but nothing came out. Blood quaffed from his mouth, preventing him from uttering a single word. Helpless, he could only laboriously extend his blood-stained right hand and gently stroke Tsunade's face, a smile on his face, his eyes looking at her tenderly, as if trying to comfort her. "No, no, no." Tsunade looked at Dan with terror in her eyes, tears welling in her eyes, and said, "No, don't say it, Dan. Don't say it. You'll be alright. I can do it." But Dan managed a weak smile, looking at Tsunade, his mouth opening and closing, but no words came out. But Tsunade understood. "I'm sorry." That's what Dan wanted to say. Tsunade looked at Dan with red eyes, choking back tears. I don't want to hear this, Dan, believe me. I can definitely save you." His hands frantically used medical ninjutsu to try and stop the bleeding, but he couldn't stop it no matter what. Dan looked at Tsunade with lingering affection, his right hand slowly reaching towards her eyes, wanting to wipe away her tears. However, when he reached towards Tsunade's eyes, He fell limply. Tsunade froze, tears falling again, crying out in anguish, "Dan! Wake up, wake up!" But Kato Dan didn't react at all, his eyes tightly closed, his right hand falling to the ground, never able to lift again. Late summer, early autumn of Konoha year 36. Sunagakure announced its unconditional surrender, and at the same time, Kumagakure and Iwagakure, due to the prolonged stalemate, which had caused anti-war sentiment to intensify within their villages, also ceased their war. They all knew the war had to end. So, to make up for the damage caused by the war, the three great ninja villages once again focused their attention on Omegakure. They knew that at this point, if the war didn't end, someone else would help them end it. Therefore, Hanzo of the Salamander had something on his mind that he didn't know whether to say. In the end, it turned out like this again. But it's finally going to end. Hanzo of the Salamander looked at the documents handed to him below, a bitter smile on his face, and murmured helplessly, "Omegakure." He had failed again. He knew that even if things continued like this, Omegakure could never become the sixth great ninja village. It wasn't because the alliance of the three great ninja villages left Omegakure with no chance. It was because Omegakure had sacrificed too much. Now they no longer had the strength to compete with the three great ninja villages. Indeed, the five great ninja villages were ultimately the five great ninja villages. The gap between Omegakure and them was too great. But even now, Omegakure wouldn't perish. Because the war was about to end. No ninja wanted the war to continue any longer. But now, the five great shinobi villages still lack one step, a step to end the war. Kirigakure. Lord Mizukage. Sujetsu Hazuki, looking utterly dejected, looked at the Mizukage before him, tears welling in his eyes, and said, "I finally found my organization. Having spent so long in the sea. If it weren't for the seal on his body being broken, allowing him to extract chakra, he might have truly become shark food. Fortunately, he still managed to complete his mission and return. You." The Mizukage looked at Sujetsu Hazuki, sighed, and said, "The village has wronged you." Kirigakure had originally given up, only needing to retrieve the ninja swords, but unexpectedly, this Sujetsu Hazuki actually returned. And judging from his appearance, he must have suffered a great deal. But they had already announced to the outside world that those ninjas had been cruelly murdered by the land of whirlpools, and had even erected monuments for them. Although the ninja sword contract indicated they might still be alive, after all, the effects of the land of whirlpool seal were unclear. For the sake of the village's honor, they could only die. After all, if the village's inability to pay their ransom were exposed, the village's reputation would plummet, especially his position as Mizukage. He would definitely be forcibly removed from office. "Where are the others?" the Mizukage asked, frowning at Sujetsu Hazuki. "Why are you the only one who came back?" "They," Sujetsu Hazuki said with a look of grief and indignation, "they all betrayed the village. Only I, in this crisis, still thought of the village's nurturing of me, of the warmth the village gave me. It's all because of these. That's why I have persevered until now." Sujetsu Hazuki looked at the Mizukage with piety, indicating how much he loved the village. However, betrayed the village, the Mizukage exclaimed angrily, his eyes wide. "You're saying they all betrayed the village? How could their will be so weak? They still had family in the village, how could they do this to betray the village's nurturing? So, rogue ninja. HMPH. The Mizukage's eyes turned icy as he looked at Sujetsu Hazuki and said coldly, "You did very well. But those traitors. No matter the reason, those who betray the ninja village deserve to die. Uzumaki. You traitor." A Kirigakure ninja looked angrily at Juzo Biwa standing in front of him and said, "How can you face Lord Sujetsu? Captain Sujetsu, he never forgot to return to the ninja village. But Captain Biwa betrayed the village long ago. How shameful. He has become the ninja he hated the most back then." Seeing the surrounding Kirigakure ninja glaring at him, Biwa Juzo remained expressionless and said calmly, "I know what you're thinking. You think that when Sujetsu Hazuki returns to the village, he'll definitely bring the Mizukage to rescue you. But don't forget." Biwa Juzo shook his head with a bitter smile, saying helplessly, "We've been here for 3 years. 3 years. They still haven't come to rescue us after all this time. The village. They've long since abandoned us." Hearing Biwa Juzo's words, the Kirigakure ninja fell silent. They knew this all too well, But, if they became rogue ninja, Kirigakure would definitely find out, and then their families would. This was why they had never submitted. I know you have your reasons. Seeing their expressions, Juzobiwa sighed and said, when Sujetsu Uzuki left, he found me. He will uphold his sense of justice and keep our whereabouts a secret. So, you are all dead in Kirigakure. Juzobiwa shouted, dead like heroes. I believe Sujetsu Uzuki would never betray us. I have always believed in him. Juzobiwa said resolutely and earnestly, I believe you all feel the same way I do. Always believed in him. So, don't worry. You are already dead. I believe that in the name of heroes, your families can receive subsidies from the village and live a better life. Juzobiwa sighed and said, give up now. Uzumaki can no longer let you continue like this. Then, his eyes sharpened, and he looked at them coldly. If you don't give up, I will take your lives with my own hands. Because the water spinach has sacrificed too much for us. I will never let his righteousness be tainted in any way. Chapter 2, still 2 chapters. Chapter 268 Loyalty and Righteousness, Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish. It was the end of Konoha 36. The war was drawing to a close. Kirigakure, having not participated in the Fourth Shinobi World War, hadn't experienced any major changes in recent years, except for a slightly tense atmosphere within the village. However, tonight, an unusual atmosphere permeated the village. Captain Sujetsu, a Kirigakure Anbu member, respectfully addressed Sujetsu Uzuki. The Mizukaji has said that you will be in charge of all the upcoming operations. It could be said that, when Sujetsu Uzuki resisted the temptations of the land of whirlpools and endured countless hardships to return to Kirigakure, he set an example for all ninja. A paragon of loyalty and righteousness. Consider that even in such harsh conditions, he never considered betraying Kirigakure, choosing instead to cross the sea, enduring the cold and helplessness to return to the village. How much he loved his village. Therefore, the Mizukaji immediately made Sujetsu Uzuki a role model for Kirigakure, demanding that all ninja learn from him. At the same time, he severely criticized those with wavering wills, those who lack loyalty to their village and country, for an entire afternoon. According to the conventions of the ninja world, traitors must die. And die a horrible death, no matter what kind of traitor you are. As long as you're a traitor, you'll be dealt with according to the conventions of the ninja world. At best, you'll be expelled from the ninja village and wanted by the ninja world. At worst, your entire clan will be implicated, and the whole clan will be sent to the pure land of Elysium to reunite with you. And, those who immediately join other countries after betraying their ninjas, needless to say. Today, the entire ninja village fell into an eerie silence. It seemed everyone knew something bad was about to happen. Is it really necessary? Sashiro sighed, saying, those traitorous ninjas were forced into this. Captain Sashiro, the Kirigakure Anbu said calmly, a traitor is a traitor. Although he also felt that the Mizukaji's decision was very cruel, but, the traitor was in the land of whirlpools, and his family was in Kirigakure. Would Kirigakure still believe them then? And tonight's decision, wasn't it also meant to make Sashiro prove his innocence? After all, everyone else had betrayed them, but only you sneaked back. Some high-ranking members of Kirigakure were still unwilling to believe it easily. The traitor's family is all inside, a Kirigakure Anbu member said, pointing to a house. Our Anbu has gathered them all together, now it's up to you to take action. I hope Captain Sujetsu doesn't disappoint the name of a hero. Sigh. Sujetsu Uzuki nodded helplessly, his expression turning cold. I understand, he said, then went inside, carrying the ninja sword Kirigakure had prepared for him. After all, his ninja sword was still in the research institute in the land of whirlpools. Mommy, why did those ninjas bring us here? A little girl looked up at her mother and asked. Is there news about Daddy? Yes. The mother nodded, a smile on her face, but a hint of worry in her eyes. She whispered, don't be afraid, Anzu. Although she was now a housewife and retired from the ninja world, she was still able to hear some rumors. The traitor's family would ultimately face discrimination in the village. And those who joined other countries as traitors. It's estimated that the families of these traitors are truly doomed this time. Is Anzu sleepy? The mother gently stroked the little girl's head. If you're sleepy, take a nap. After Anzu wakes up, we should be able to go home. She couldn't bear to let her young daughter see or even suffer such a bloody scene. All the families of the traitors huddled together, already guessing what was happening. Perhaps, this was their last night. Some even harbored resentment towards their loved ones. Why did they betray them? Why did they send back messages? If not, they would still be the families of heroes. Although the village, as the families of heroes, hadn't yet given them their subsidies from previous years, they understood, after all, the village was poor. But now, why was the ninja village they loved treating them like this? They knew nothing. Suddenly, resentment towards the ninja village also arose in their hearts. And then, creak. The dilapidated wooden house was opened. A fat man with orange hair walked in. Everyone calmed down, staring fearfully at the fat man who walked in carrying a knife, tightly hugging their children. As expected, the village really was abandoning them, sending a warning to all traitors. A deep sorrow welled up within them. They loved this village so much, yet now they were being treated like this by the ninja village. Why? Meanwhile, the newly arrived Sujetsu Uzuki spat disdainfully at the wooden door, muttering, "This dilapidated house. It wasn't even as good as the labor camps in the land of whirlpools. At least in the land of whirlpools, their homes had electricity, lights, fireplaces, and exquisitely tiled floors." Kirigakure, as one of the 5 great ninja villages, most of those living in mud houses were ninjas or high-ranking officials, yet their doors were still wooden. It was simply incomparable to the architecture of the land of whirlpools. Sujetsu Uzuki looked up at the people staring at him with fearful eyes, sighing helplessly. They had all guessed what was going on, but it was understandable. After all, no ninja village wanted their ninjas to become traitors. But this is for the best. They'll probably be grateful to the land of whirlpools then. Thinking this, Sujetsu Uzuki felt a surge of excitement. He was finally about to complete his mission, join the land of whirlpools, marry a beautiful and wealthy woman, and reach the pinnacle of life. So, he carefully pulled out a strangely shaped kunai from his robes. Mizuki Joy looked at the night sky over Kirigakure, sighed inwardly, and murmured, "I'm sorry." As the Mizukage, he didn't want to do this, but if he didn't, the consequences would be unimaginable. After all, betrayal is something no ninja village can afford. So, this is the only way. Mizuki Joy looked helplessly at the moon in the sky, that pure and holy white moon, and said coldly, "Everything I've done is for Kirigakure. As for those traitors in the land of whirlpools." Mizuki Joy's eyes narrowed. Traitors, must die. The land of whirlpools. Night. Labor camp. The 7 Kirigakure ninja calmly watched Juzo-biwa, who was brandishing his ninja sword, and knew, they had to make a choice. For their families in Kirigakure, they wouldn't betray them. Although Juzo-biwa had said Captain Sujetsu wouldn't report them to the village, how long could that last? So they dared not try. Moreover, from the moment they became ninjas, they had been prepared to sacrifice themselves, but they never expected to die at the hands of their own captain. They knew that Juzo-biwa was doing this partly to fulfill their wishes. After all, if they died, news would surely make them heroes, and partly, to honor the loyal and righteous Captain Sujetsu. Captain Sujetsu was a hero. So, Captain Biwa, do it, one Kirigakure ninja said calmly, looking at Juzo-biwa. We won't blame you. They truly dared not betray them. Sigh. Juzo-biwa glanced at the ninja sword in his hand, sighed, then looked up at the calm-faced mist ninja before him, and said helplessly, "I'm sorry, for the land of whirlpools, for the sake of Sujetsu Uzuki, I had no choice but to do this. So, if you have any resentment, resent me, the incompetent captain who brought you to the land of whirlpools." Now, Juzo-biwa's eyes narrowed, he raised his ninja sword, and said coldly, "Fine." However, before he could finish speaking, creak. The labor camp door suddenly opened. At this moment, who came? Just as the mist ninja were all looking at the door with strange expressions. "Dad?" A voice broke the eerie atmosphere of the labor camp. Chapter 1. Chapter 269. A war ends. Early 37 of Konoha. The land of rain. As usual, a light rain was falling. Truly worthy of being called the strongest ninja village. Hanzo of the Salamander laughed wildly, looking at the 3 ninjas before him, exhausted and supporting each other. "Leader of my rain village. Demigod of the ninja world. I acknowledge you." Hanzo of the Salamander stood atop his summoning beast, a giant salamander. Feeling the familiar light rain of the land of rain. Today the rain seemed to be getting heavier. Feeling the cold rain, Hanzo of the Salamander sighed inwardly. It was finally over. He had spent so much money, bought so many weapons, and gathered so many civilians, but in the end, he still failed. He knew. Now, there was no chance left. If this stalemate continued, the losses for the Rain Village would be even greater. As the leader of a megacure, he had to make a decision. Hanzo of the Salamander clenched his fists tightly, indicating his inner turmoil. Looking at the Konoha ninja before him, he finally sighed inwardly. I, Hanzo of the Salamander, leader of a megacure, known as the demigod of the ninja world. From this day forward, I will address you as the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Hanzo of the Salamander looked at them. Live on with the title I bestow upon you. Although he had conceded defeat, as Hanzo of the Salamander, he would never show weakness. Therefore, this title, the legendary Sannin of Konoha, you will bear it forever. In Konoha year 37, the 5-year war ended. The Konoha ninja, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru fought a demigod of the ninja world for 3 days and 3 nights without being at a disadvantage, earning the demigod's recognition and being called the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Perhaps this title inspires envy and reverence in all the ninjas of Konoha and the entire ninja world, but for Jiraiya and his companions, it is a disgrace. After all, it was a title bestowed upon them by their enemies. If they cannot defeat Hanzo of the Salamander in the future, this title of legendary Sannin will be a burden they carry for generations. The land of whirlpools. I didn't expect so many advanced weapons. Uzumaki-jun looked at today's ninja report, shook his head, and said helplessly, in the end, it still ended like this. As expected, the land of whirlpools still participated too little. Thinking of this, Uzumaki-jun's lips curled up slightly, and he murmured, I wonder how long this peace will last? The 5 great shinobi villages. I wonder what will happen to the land of whirlpools next time? A look of worry appeared in Uzumaki-jun's eyes, and he sighed, saying, we still need to vigorously develop technology. Now, only technology can allow the land of whirlpools' overall national strength to catch up with the 5 great shinobi villages. But how easy is it to develop technology? Chira. Uzumaki soon frowned, muttering, it's time to have a talk with him. Just as Uzumaki-sun was deep in thought. Knock knock. There was a knock on the office door. Come in, Uzumaki-sun said calmly, having sensed someone approaching the office. Sujetsu Hazuki. What is he doing here? Is he dissatisfied with the rewards from the land of whirlpools? What is it? Uzumaki-sun looked at the conflicted Sujetsu Hazuki with a smile, saying, shouldn't you be at work now? In the end, to avoid disheartening a meritorious official, Uzumaki-sun had assigned him to the fishing team as a captain. Was he dissatisfied with his position? Did he want to be a department head? Thinking of this, Uzumaki-sun frowned, looking at Sujetsu Hazuki, and said, if you have any complaints, just say so. Anyway, he wouldn't agree. This traitor was really unreliable. Sujetsu Hazuki hesitated, unsure how to explain. After all, he had requested all of this himself, and the rewards promised by the land of whirlpools had been delivered. Now, he wanted to back out. Would the daimyo of the land of whirlpools think he was being unreasonable? But thinking of the Kurigakure ninja who are so grateful to him, even revering him, Sujetsu Hazuki's eyes hardened, and he said, can I give up those rewards? He was still afraid? Uzumaki-jun, hearing Sujetsu Hazuki's words, looked at him with confusion and asked, what did you say? Give up? What did that mean? Did he think the rewards weren't enough, so he didn't want them? Or, was there another reason? Why? Uzumaki-jun frowned. If you're unhappy with my decision, you can just say so. The land of whirlpools is a free and harmonious country, they won't blame you for your words. No, no. Sujetsu Hazuki quickly shook his head upon hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, I'm not unhappy, I just don't want it. But Uzumaki-jun showed no reaction, staring intently at him, seemingly waiting for an explanation. Those mist ninja are now. Sujetsu Hazuki said apologetically, I'm worried that if they find out what I've done, they'll kill me. Uzumaki-jun nodded knowingly. So that's the reason. Indeed. Some time ago, because he secretly brought people back, those mist ninja were truly shocked, especially seeing their families in the land of whirlpools. They couldn't believe it. Finally, after questioning their families, they learned what had happened. Instantly, a group of mist ninja imagined a loyal and courageous fat man who, faced with the village's decision and the lives of his former comrades' families, couldn't bring himself to do it. Suppressing his inner guilt, he chose to go against his own morality, helplessly appealing to the daimyo of Uzumaki for help, promising to serve Uzumaki if they rescue the families. The daimyo agreed, ultimately using space-time ninjutsu to bring them safely back. That scene. Uzumaki-jun can't even imagine it now. The ninjas these days are so simple-minded, once they believe someone is good, they'll never doubt them. Anyway, Uzumaki-jun was too embarrassed to tell them at the time that they'd actually been betrayed. Especially seeing 7 or 8 burly men tearfully embracing Sujetsu Hazuki, that image still makes him feel uncomfortable just thinking about it. He guessed that if they weren't all men, they probably would have had no way to repay him but to offer themselves in return. So Uzumaki-jun looked at Sujetsu Hazuki with a playful gaze and said, "Want to be a hero?" "How?" Sujetsu Hazuki scratched his head sheepishly and said, "It feels pretty good, and if they find out, I'll definitely get chopped into pufferfish sauce." In that case, Uzumaki-jun nodded and said, "I'll take back the house, the silver, and the position." Hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, Sujetsu Hazuki opened his mouth. Actually, he didn't need to take back the silver, he could be frugal. Those Kurigakure ninjas definitely wouldn't notice anything, but, thinking about it, he decided against it. What if he pushed his luck and they got upset? "Thank you, Prince Soon." Sujetsu Hazuki quickly nodded, his expression grateful, and said, "If there's nothing else, I won't bother you any longer." Uzumaki soon smiled and nodded, watching Sujetsu Hazuki's departing figure. He chuckled and muttered, "How interesting." Sujetsu Hazuki, who was killed by Kisame for betraying his village in the original world, is now considered a hero by the Kurigakure ninja for the same betrayal. Who knows how long Sujetsu Hazuki can keep up this lie. Chapter 2. 2 chapters today. Chapter 270, The Child of Destiny. Konoha. Dusk. To be honest, the war ended so suddenly, it's really hard to get used to. After all, that period was incredibly busy. I didn't dare to think about anything else, and suddenly having free time leaves me with a feeling of emptiness. Looking at the tombstone in front of her, the last time she came was with Dan to send off her clansmen, but now Dan is gone. Tsunade's heart clenched. In this war, she lost so much. Her clansmen, her brother, her father, her lover, and her aging grandmother. Tsunade didn't know why this was happening, but she was beginning to feel lost. What were these sacrificed ninjas doing all this for? Only fools would become Hokage. Tsunade sighed, tears falling involuntarily, murmuring, "What a bunch of fools." Her great-grandfather was Hokage, he died for the village. Her great-uncle was Hokage, he died for the village, but her clansmen, her father, her brother weren't. Yet they still died for the village. Yet, Jiraiya glanced at Tsunade, who was weeping, and said with a sigh, "They're all a bunch of idiots." Then, a moment later, a grin spread across his face. So, Orochimaru is an idiot too. But, when no one could see, a flicker of sadness crossed his eyes. He already knew. He could never replace the person most deeply in Tsunade's heart. Idiot. Orochimaru ignored Jiraiya and said indifferently. Tsunade wiped away her tears, glanced at Jiraiya, and asked, "What about you? What are you going to do next, you lecher?" Her friend always had a cheerful face. However, Tsunade knew that although Jiraiya was lecherous, incompetent, and lazy, his sadness was no less than theirs. The war is over. Jiraiya looked at the setting sun and murmured, "It's finally over." Then, the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. "I will continue my training." "Back to Mount Maiboku?" Tsunade asked, "And your sage mode?" "It's so stupid. You look like you have a big nose. How can you talk like that?" Jiraiya said, displeased. "You know that's the same kind of sage as the first Hokage." "What does that mean?" "It means that although my current strength isn't as good as the first Hokage's, it's about the same." Tsunade and Orochimaru rolled their eyes helplessly at Jiraiya's words. So many years had passed, and their friend still hadn't broken his habit of boasting. "I'm not going back to Mount Maiboku this time," Jiraiya said with a confident smile. "Lord Fukasaku has already said there's nothing more he can teach me. Let me graduate. So, this time I will travel the ninja world." Jiraiya looked at the tombstone bathed in the gentle golden light of the setting sun and said, "Perhaps I'll meet someone somewhere who can change this world. Someone who will bring true peace to the ninja world. And maybe gather some material." "Boring," Orochimaru said dismissively, "you're just making trouble for yourself." "Perhaps." Jiraiya ignored his friend's mockery, smiling, but I believe I will meet him. Meet that, the chosen one who will bring true light to this sorrowful world. Then, there will be no more war in the ninja world. He originally thought he would gain something in the land of rain this time. Unexpectedly, he didn't encounter anything at all. Orochimaru, what about you? Jiraiya asked curiously. Don't you plan to find a successor to carry on your ninja way? No. Orochimaru shook his head, a bitter smile flashing across his lips. He said calmly, my current wish is to learn all the techniques. As for a disciple, it's better to be alone. And Jiraiya and Tsunade both shook their heads helplessly. A person's life is not eternal, it's impossible to learn all the techniques. It seems their friend hasn't recovered from Naruto's death. By the way, Tsunade asked, looking at Jiraiya, where are you planning to go this time? Where to? Jiraiya scratched his head, pondered for a moment, then seemed to have thought of something. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he said, the land of whirlpools. I've decided to go to the land of whirlpools. The ninja world is full of praise for the land of whirlpools. Moreover, Konoha's early difficulties in this war can be partly attributed to the land of whirlpools' breach of trust. So, I want to see what's so special about that place. And, see the youngest cage. The land of whirlpools. Chiro, how are you feeling? Hishiko supported Chiro, asking with concern. The doctor said you need to go for checkups every now and then. They had been discharged from the hospital a while ago and moved into the dormitory assigned to them by the land of whirlpools. Although it was only a one-bedroom, one living room, one bathroom dormitory, it was much more comfortable than their large mansion in Sunagakure. Amazing electric lights, a chakra stove, exquisite transparent windows, these were things they had never seen before. Don't worry, Chiro said gently, looking at his wife. I'm fine now, I just need to rest more. Looking at the bustling scene around him, Chiro could hardly believe that this was the impoverished place once known throughout the ninja world. This place! Chiro exclaimed, it's unbelievable. He never imagined that such a paradise existed in the ninja world. Therefore, he was eager to see what it was like. Chiro. Zizi opened her mouth upon hearing Chiro's sigh. It's alright, Chiro said with a smile, I didn't mean anything by it. This place is really nice. Although he didn't know why the land of whirlpools had brought him here, they were indeed no longer suited to return to Sunagakure. He had recently read the land of whirlpools ninja reports. His mother had already angered the ninja village because of his death, and if he were to reappear now, it would only bring her more trouble. So, Chiro and Zizi were already dead. It's just, I'm sorry, Sasori, I'm sorry, mother. Let's go for a walk, Chiro said with a smile. Let's see why the land of whirlpools is so special. Okay. Hearing Chiro's words, Hiko smiled and nodded, saying, whatever you say. This year's population increase reached 11,000, Hibiki Uzumaki said, flipping through her memo. That's a 30% increase compared to previous years. At the same time, the clan had reported yesterday that because of the large number of new students, the academy must be expanded again, and new teachers need to be recruited. It's still not enough. Jun Uzumaki rubbed his forehead and said with a sigh, only a few thousand or 10,000 new students every year, how long will it take for the land of whirlpools to reach 1 million people? With such a small population, how can the land of whirlpools become a major power? You know, 1 million people is probably less than the population of a second-tier city in my previous life. As for the academy, Jun Uzumaki frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, the rest is manageable, but the teachers. The land of whirlpools is lacking. Especially Taijutsu ninjas. Should they send Fugaku to the academy as a teacher? Well, I could consider it. But it's probably unlikely. He's a model police officer in the land of whirlpools right now. He's enjoying his job so much, suddenly asking him to change jobs doesn't seem right. And Madara, he's getting old, making him work overtime and substitute teach seems inhumane. He, Uzumaki-jun, has been influenced by 1,000 years of civilization, and he hasn't forgotten traditional virtues like respecting the elderly and caring for the young. So, let the academy's teachers work a little harder, Uzumaki-jun said with a sigh. Spread out the courses, allocate them reasonably, and after a while, I'll see if I can recruit any good teachers. The children's education can't be neglected. Chapter 1. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271 Mechanical Engineer of the Land of Whirlpools. The Land of Whirlpools. Looking at the bustling crowds, Chiro paused, muttering, so many people. This was the commercial street of the Land of Whirlpools, and they had simply followed the passers-by here. They hadn't expected so many people. It's late, Hiko said with a smile. Everyone's off work. During her breaks, Chiro would often go out alone to see what the Land of Whirlpools was like, so she was fairly familiar with everything there. But she truly hadn't expected the Land of Whirlpools to be so prosperous. Especially for a country without any ninja villages. How did the Land of Whirlpools develop like this? Or rather, where did the Land of Whirlpools get the courage to protect these things? Now, all the ninja villages in the entire ninja world believed that abandoning their villages was tantamount to self-destruction. But Hiko and Chiro didn't see any decay. They only saw something they hadn't seen in the Sand Village, or even the Leaf Village, smiles full of hope. Off work? Chiro asked, looking at Hiko with confusion. These are all civilians? He could tell that most of them were civilians. There's no distinction between civilians and ninjas here, Hiko shook her head and explained. The Land of Whirlpools offers jobs in construction, textiles, fishing, and so on. Whether you're a ninja or a civilian, you can sign up. And now these people are off work, probably to eat in the shopping district or to buy groceries at the market. So, this kind of system is completely unheard of. Is that so? Chiro paused for a moment after hearing Hiko's words, then said, what about the ninjas? Don't they have to go on missions? No, Hiko said. The Land of Whirlpools doesn't rely on ninjas for missions to generate income, it relies on commerce. As for ninjas, you can choose to work, join the army, or even. Hiko looked around, pointing to a ninja wearing a Whirlpool's police uniform, and said, you can become a policeman. The police department? Chiro nodded, and said, like Konoha. It seems different. Hiko pondered for a moment, then shook her head, and said, as for why, I don't know yet. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she could sense that the police here were different from those in Konoha. No, I know. Chiro stared blankly ahead, a smile suddenly appearing on her face, and said, one is hated, the other is recognized. Watching the policemen greeting the civilians, Chiro suddenly felt a strange sensation. Especially since the civilians weren't afraid of the policeman, and even joked with him. This was simply unbelievable in other ninja villages. What an interesting country. Chiro exclaimed. Perhaps, he should meet the daimyo of the Land of Whirlpools. Let's go, Chiro said with a smile, let's go check out the shopping street. Maybe there really is some delicious food? This feeling is really nice. If only the Sands Village and the Land of Wind could be like this. Civilians and ninjas, communicating without barriers. Uncle Sujetsu. A little boy walked over happily, carrying a bento box, and said, my mom made this and asked me to bring it for you and your dad. Yuta. Sujetsu Hazuki put down his tools, looked at the little boy, and smiled, eating so early today? Because mom said you guys are very tired from work. Yuta scratched the back of his head and said cheerfully, so you must be hungry soon. Yes. Sujetsu Hazuki nodded, rubbed his stomach, and complained, I am indeed a little hungry. Wait a minute. Your dad is still busy inside, I'll go call him now. He turned and went inside. Since resigning from his post with Prince soon, he found work at a lumberyard, along with several other mist ninja. Although their actions hadn't yet gained the trust of the Land of Whirlpools, the Land of Whirlpools was gradually relaxing its surveillance on them, so he believed they would eventually truly integrate into the Land of Whirlpools. Moreover, Sujetsu Hazuki, was different. He had long been a member of the Land of Whirlpools. He only endured the humiliation of being a lumberjack to avoid suspicion from the other mist ninja. And let's not forget, his needle thousand needles technique made moving logs quite easy. One poke, one hit, he could tie them up and take them away. And this feeling is really nice. Sujetsu Hazuki murmured with a slight smile, hero? Recognition? The grateful expressions on the faces of these mist ninja gave Sujetsu Hazuki a different feeling. He had been one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist for so many years, and he had never felt this way. Back then, apart from a group of subordinates who respected him, who had ever genuinely acknowledged or thanked him? So, although he was still a little reluctant to part with the money and the house, He didn't regret abandoning them. Kenji, Kisame Hazuki said, looking at the Kurigakure ninja still logging, your son brought your food, hurry up and go. Yuda's here? Kenji put down his tools and said happily, let's go eat. Although there was a canteen here, he still preferred the food cooked at home. Wait a minute. Sujetsu Hazuki grabbed Kenji, saying seriously, go wash your hands first, then we'll eat. This is a matter of principle. You can easily get sick if you don't pay attention to hygiene. Oh. Kenji scratched his head sheepishly, saying, I almost forgot. Come on, I'll use water release. Let's both wash up, and wash our faces too. Okay. Sujetsu Hazuki nodded in satisfaction upon hearing Kenji's words, saying, now that we've joined the land of whirlpools, we need to adapt to some of the rules. Don't think it's too much trouble. Hurry up, use water release, we can go eat after we are done washing up. Sir, would you like something sweet? Salty? A girl of about 16 looked at a beautiful woman supporting a pale-faced man, smiling as she asked, or spicy tofu pudding? Tofu pudding? Chira looked at the girl curiously, asking, what's that? It's a dessert. The girl smiled, saying, a specialty of the land of whirlpools, it's very delicious. Chiro, you're still not feeling well, Zizi said softly, supporting Chiro. That's why you can't eat spicy food. Although she didn't know what tofu pudding was, the doctor had said that Chiro needed to pay attention to his diet during this period. It would be best to eat something nourishing, such as fish soup, chicken soup, or pork rib soup, to help his body recover faster. In that case, Chiro nodded and said with a smile, I'll have a savory one, Zizi. He looked at Zizi gently, I remember you always like sweet things. Yes, Zizi said, I want a sweet one. One savory one, one sweet one. What could be so special about this tofu pudding? Okay, please wait a moment. The girl wrote down Chiro's order and said, there are seats inside, please come in. Thank you for your help, Zizi said with a smile, then helped Chiro slowly find a seat inside. Tofu pudding? Chiro murmured, watching someone next to him eating something milky white and seemingly bouncy. What will it taste like? And this whirlpool country? It's truly amazing. Along their journey, they had seen far too much. Perhaps this was only a part of the land of whirlpools, but it still deeply moved them. The harmonious coexistence of ninjas and civilians, doing the same work, eating the same food, without any prejudice or jealousy. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they simply wouldn't have believed it. And all of this, Chiro had inquired about it, it was all the work of the daimyo of the land of whirlpools. That youngest kage in the ninja world. I really want to meet the daimyo of the land of whirlpools, Chiro thought to himself. Truly an extraordinary person, but he wondered what the daimyo of the land of whirlpools wanted them for. Just as Chiro was pondering this. What a coincidence. A red-haired boy walked in with a smile and said, I was just about to look for you. Chapter 2, still 2 chapters. Chapter 272 Land of Whirlpools. Early morning. The land of whirlpools. As usual, they rose at 7 in the morning, ate breakfast, and prepared to go to work. The land of whirlpools was becoming increasingly powerful and prosperous. All the citizens of the land of whirlpools could feel it. For so many years? Since their father's generation, they had never experienced a life like this. It was unimaginable in the ninja world, especially when they saw refugees who had come to the land of whirlpools because of war. These native inhabitants of the land of whirlpools would stand tall, heads held high with pride. And now, among the people of the land of whirlpools, there were some who hadn't obtained citizenship. More than anyone else, they longed to live here, to become residents of this country without war, without oppression, with food and shelter. Therefore, they were more law-abiding than anyone else. Good morning, Tai. A middle-aged man greeted the middle-aged man with a short haircut beside him. Waiting for the bus? Good morning, Tai nodded politely. Yes, ever since these things called cars appeared in the land of whirlpools, I haven't driven a horse-drawn carriage anymore. Horse-drawn carriages are not only slow, but also very bumpy and uncomfortable. Taking the bus is much better, it allows him to sleep a few more minutes in the morning. Sir, which bus line are you on? Tai asked curiously. I'm on bus line 1. Line 3, the man said helplessly. The team is going to survey the terrain in undeveloped areas in a few days. Preparing for new infrastructure. The land of whirlpools is still too small, Tai sighed. If only the land of whirlpools were as big as the land of fire. Yes. Tai nodded, If only the entire ninja world were the land of whirlpools. Then, a complaint appeared on his face. I heard that it's because the land is too small that we newcomers can't get citizenship. If you ask me, it would be great if the entire ninja world were the land of whirlpools. Those idiotic nobles and ninjas outside only exploit us, even killing us for no reason. Don't be silly, Tai shook his head. That's impossible. The entire ninja world being the land of whirlpools. That's simply impossible. The 5 great ninja villages are incredibly powerful. The Grand Master chuckled, just complaining a little. If only other countries were like the land of whirlpools. Bus number 3 is here. The Grand Master quickly joined the queue, saying, I'm going now. After all, they were now practically citizens of the land of whirlpools, so they had to abide by the law, be civilized, and not bring shame to the land of whirlpools. The Grand Master nodded, smiling, mine should be here soon too. A wave of emotion washed over him. He needed to work hard too. He was just a few points away from joining the land of whirlpools. I finished the thing you wanted to invent. Chiro said with a complaining look, what's the use of this thing? A car. Uzumaki soon didn't mind Chiro's tone. Inventors often had eccentricities. Although he used to play with puppets, there was no denying he had real skills. He said, that's a good thing. Did they really have to learn from the ninja world, to travel by running and communicate by shouting? Don't joke around. Science and technology are the primary productive forces, and this is the national policy of the land of whirlpools. Without something special, how can we make others feel different? So, after the chakra car was developed, he established a new energy bus company, and also redivided the roads, separating motor vehicle lanes and pedestrian lanes, and installed traffic lights and rules. The land of whirlpools is becoming more and more familiar. But, according to your description of a cool and stylish design, Chiro said helplessly, it will greatly affect performance. After getting to know him better over this period, he understood the personality of the daimyo of the land of whirlpools in front of him, and surprisingly, he was quite nice. As long as you obeyed the law and diligently completed the assigned tasks, he basically wouldn't do anything to you. Performance doesn't matter, Uzumaki-jun said casually, it's for export anyway. The automotive industry is profitable. Especially when there's a technological monopoly. Don't make it too perfect, leave some flaws. Uzumaki soon said with a familiar smile, his eyes narrowing. Optimize it every year, that's how you make money. Divide the cars into first generation, second generation, A5, A8, and so on. Sell the same model dozens of times. Anyway, cars are only sold in the land of whirlpools, nowhere else. Whatever, Chiro said helplessly, I'm just here to work anyway. Consider it repaying the land of whirlpools for saving his life. How's the ninjutsu tank development going? Uzumaki soon asked curiously. You know, this is a national treasure. I don't know what you're thinking. Chiro's face immediately turned serious upon hearing Uzumaki soon's words. These things can harm ninjas. Even ordinary people can wield such great power. He simply didn't know what the future of ninjas would be like. But it will bring peace to the ninja world, Uzumaki-jun said earnestly. Power itself is neither good nor bad. As long as the person who wields it uses it for the benefit of the people and the world, then it is good. And, aren't the ninjas of the land of whirlpools living quite well now? Uzumaki-jun smiled as he looked at Chiro. He wasn't a conservative person. Or rather, as long as he brought up the peace of the ninja world, he would gain the approval of a group of people. After all, this is a world where even terrorists yearn for peace. Perhaps you are right, Chiro sighed and said, you are a great ruler. Just like the land of whirlpools now, ninjas have started a secondary industry, especially the infrastructure department, which has a very high demand for ninjas skilled in earth release and water release. Perhaps, this is the future trend? Ninjas are being used in production. We are already conducting joint research with the researchers. Chiro became serious when talking about professional matters, and said, but the power is still not very great, and the defensive ability can't even withstand a B-rank ninjutsu. On the battlefield, such a huge iron box is just a useless piece of junk. Is that so? Uzumaki soon sighed upon hearing this, saying, sure enough, technology has to be developed step by step. By the way, where's Izumi-chan? He glanced at a machine room. I remember she was your assistant, wasn't she? Had they had a falling out? Her? Chiro glanced at Uzumaki soon and said, she went to teach physics to the freshmen at the academy a while ago, and then. She felt she was more suited to be a teacher, so she resigned with me. Uzumaki soon gave an awkward laugh. It was his fault. The number of students had increased recently, and there weren't enough teachers, especially in some less popular majors. But he hadn't expected the clan leader to come to the machine department to recruit. This was truly a good idea. Do you need me to find you another assistant? Uzumaki soon asked. No need. Chiro shook her head and said, being alone is fine, that way, no one will bother me. This is a tech geek, but he was held back by being a ninja before. Uzumaki soon sighed inwardly. He had saved another technical talent. By the way, shouldn't we bring Sasori over? Uzumaki-jun thought for a moment and said, his life isn't very good right now. Sasori is a future tech talent, so the land of whirlpools will definitely not give up on him. Besides, what he said wasn't wrong. After Chihiro avenged her son, the people of Tsunagakure had a lot of resentment towards her, especially with the third Kazukage's subtle actions. Basically, most people believe that Chihiro was responsible for the deaths of their loved ones. So, this hatred has carried over to Sasori. Chihiro was silent for a moment after hearing Uzumaki-jun's words, and finally sighed and said helplessly, I'll discuss it with Isako later. He also guessed that Sasori and his mother were being treated like this in Tsunagakure, but if they took Sasori away, even though his uncle was with him, his mother would still be sad. But Sasori, he's still a child. If his father and mother weren't by his side, it would be very pitiful. Furthermore, Kiko had mentioned to him recently that she wanted to bring Sasori over because the education in the land of whirlpools is better. Chapter 1. Chapter 273. This ninja has violated the traffic rules of the land of whirlpools. Why did you make us come to the vet on the weekend? Nagato yawned and said, I went to bed really late last night. He'd been so energetic lately that he had been doing his physical training late every night before he could fall asleep. Now, Nagato looked at the sky and complained, it's only 6 o'clock. Even if your cat is sick, you don't have to be up so early. All you do is sleep, sleep, sleep. Konan looked at Nagato with disappointment and said, you've changed. You've become so lazy. You used to be so diligent. And Kiba was sick last night, had diarrhea and was in a lot of pain. Could you bear to see him like that? Konan held up her hands and showed him the white kitten she was holding, saying, look, it's so listless. Nagato scratched Kiba's neck expressionlessly. It really was listless. But I used to sleep until 8 or 9 o'clock. Where's your Hiko? Nagato decided it was best not to reason with a girl. This is what Sunni taught him. Where's he? You know, the three of them always go together. Your Hiko's dad is sick. Konan rolled her eyes and said helplessly, so he has to take care of your Hiko's dad. How annoying. Nagato used to be so obedient. Then, holding the kitten, she stood on the bus platform, glanced at the approaching bus, and quickly waved to Nagato, the bus is here, we need to get on. Okay. Nagato sighed helplessly and said, I hope there aren't too many people at the hospital today. That way, he could go back to sleep earlier. He glanced at the cute white cat Konan was holding. This cat was a birthday present he and Yohiko gave to Konan years ago. Unexpectedly, Konan liked it quite a bit. Nagato's lips curled up slightly. Back then, they asked Sunini what kind of gift to give a girl. After all, over the years, he knew that many people like Sunni. For example, there's Kushina Nichan, Kari Nichan, Nanao Nichan, and Mikado Nichan. So, Sunni-san must really understand girls' feelings. It's just, I don't know why. Ever since he told Kushina Nichan about Mikado Nichan's feelings for Sunini-san, Kushina Nichan has been sharpening her knives. Indeed, the adult world is too complicated, he'd better not get involved. After all, he's still a child. But I wonder how Sunini-san is doing. Achoo, achoo. Uzumaki soon rubbed his nose and muttered, has he caught a cold? Looks like he should go to the hospital after get off work and ask Kori Nichan or Nanao Nichan. He's invincible in the ninja world, how could he catch a cold? It's a bit cold. Uzumaki soon tightened his coat, looking at Uzumaki Hibiki and saying, it looks like this winter will be very cold. We need to make sure everyone is prepared for the cold. Preparations are already underway. Uzumaki Hibiki nodded, a flash of pity in his eyes, and said, I'll inform them again later. A few days ago, Lord Sun's mother, Lady Mealing, came to him, asking what Lord Sun had been doing lately. She was just about to praise Lord Sun's diligent governance, his dedication to the country and its people, and how he worked late every day, when Uzumaki Hibiki saw that Lady Mealing was followed by someone he couldn't afford to offend. Miss Kushina. He immediately put away his memo with a serious expression and quickly reported on Lord Sun's whereabouts over the past few days, especially where he had gone and which women, which people he had met. He said everything clearly. If he didn't explain clearly, he felt that he would definitely not be able to contribute to the land of whirlpools anymore. Finally, seeing Lady Mealing's satisfied expression, he breathed a sigh of relief. She really was his mother. It was just that Miss Kushina's dangerously narrowed eyes. He could only tell Prince Sun that he couldn't help her. Quickly, many people have come to the land of whirlpools recently, Uzumaki Sun said, glancing at the documents. Be careful. If anyone is found to be a spy, arrest them all and send them to the labor camp. The labor camps are a bit empty lately. I'll have the police increase patrols, Uzumaki Hibiki said. Also, issue a notice to the people, telling them to be careful of those around them. Uzumaki Sun nodded, frowning as he looked at the documents in his hand. He sighed and said, as expected, raising ninja beasts isn't so easy. Because the breeding farms hadn't been able to raise ninja beasts, the land of whirlpools recently opened up a pet keeping system. Although keeping a useless pet is a joke in this day and age, Uzumaki Sun still harbors a sliver of longing, wondering if others could raise a summoning beast. After all, people are different. That's why he suggested Nagato give the white cat to Konan. Perhaps there will be unexpected gains later. Of course, to avoid unnecessary trouble, some restrictions are necessary. Triple vaccinations, rabies vaccines, etc., must be administered on time. Hygiene is also essential. Establishing clear rules from the beginning reduces unnecessary problems later. One pet, one license, Uzumaki Sun said, looking at Uzumaki Hibiki. If outsiders have summoning beasts, remember to have them checked at a veterinary hospital and obtain a license. You know, your decades might be its, sorry, I misspoke. A ninja beast's lifespan seems even longer. Uzumaki Sun said seriously, its decades might be your lifetime. Therefore, any outsiders who violate the rules will be severely fined. They'll be punished until they're bankrupt, forced to work in the land of whirlpools. Understood. Hibiki Uzumaki, hearing Sun's words, narrowed her eyes and nodded knowingly, saying, I'll arrange it. As expected. Prince Sun is still the same Prince Sun. Is this the land of whirlpools? A young man with white spiky hair sat cross-legged on a toad, frowning as he looked at the surrounding scenery, muttering, this doesn't seem like what Tsunade said. The land of whirlpools isn't poor at all. In fact, it's even more beautiful than Konoha. Could he have come to the wrong place? Especially those beautiful and exquisite houses, the wide and sturdy roads, the metal boxes driving by, all made him doubt that he had really come to the wrong place. But, what's the meaning of the white stripes painted on the road? Jiraiya looked at the neatly spaced white stripes on the road, lost in thought. He was curious about everything in the land of whirlpools. He glanced at the people standing next to him. Why weren't they going over? Never mind, for now, let's find a place to rest. I'm really tired after traveling such a long way. Then, Gaimachu, let's go. Jiraiya said to the toads below. Little Jiraiya. Gamachu's gentle voice rang out, the others haven't left yet, should we ask why? Never mind. Jiraiya said, I'm the toad sage, I have to be different from others. Alright. Gamachu nodded, in that case, I'll listen to you. Then, with a push of his legs, he leaped forward lightly. And the instant his feet touched the ground. Beep. A piercing whistle rang out. This, white-haired ninja, please wait a moment. According to the traffic regulations of the land of whirlpools, you have violated the traffic rules of the land of whirlpools. Chapter 2, still 2 chapters. Chapter 274 Reckless driving leads to tears from loved ones. Please show me your driver's license. Driver's license? Jiraiya stared blankly at the police officer in the white hat. He was just riding a toad, why was he being stopped? This person should be like the Konoha Police Department, right? But when did the police department ever care about riding toads? And what was that driver's license? He'd traveled to so many countries and never heard of such a thing. Sorry, Jiraiya said, fidgeting with his hands, that driver's license. However, before he could finish, the traffic police officer from the land of whirlpools saw Jiraiya's expression and knew what he meant. This was driving without a license. Where's your pass to the land of whirlpools? The traffic officer frowned, but seeing Jiraiya's bewildered expression, he knew he was clueless again. He sighed helplessly and said, just arrived? Yes, just came from outside. Jiraiya flashed what he thought was a cool smile and said, I am Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. Jiraiya? The officer nodded, making a note in his notebook. It read, Jiraiya, driving without a license, running a red light, no pass. Since you're new here, the officer frowned, you should know the laws of the land of whirlpools, right? Please show me your entry certificate. Jiraiya was completely confused again. What was this entry certificate? In the ninja world, when did going to other countries become so complicated? And, he was one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. The one who could go toe-to-toe with a demigod in the ninja world. Had this person never heard of him? He hadn't expected the land of whirlpools to be so out of touch. I am one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, Jiraiya said again with a serious expression. The Toad Sage, Jiraiya. However, the traffic police officer completely ignored who this person violating traffic regulations was. He sighed, shook his head, and said helplessly, there are countless roads, but safety is the first priority. Reckless driving will bring tears to your loved one's eyes. Then, he pulled out his walkie-talkie. I have detected someone illegally entering the country. Please send someone over immediately. Looking up at the still bewildered Jiraiya, the traffic police officer nodded. It seemed this ninja was quite honest, he hadn't run away. He shouldn't be a spy. But, if that's the case, why not just go through immigration procedures at the border crossing? Excuse me, Jiraiya asked cautiously, what is that immigration certificate? When you came to the land of whirlpools, didn't you see any staff members wearing uniforms similar to mine at the border crossing? The traffic police officer said, frowning. That shouldn't be the case. There are 34 entrances. The land of whirlpools has basically set up checkpoints at all of them. Upon hearing the traffic police officer's words, Jiraiya immediately understood what was going on. He chuckled sheepishly and scratched his head. He had sneaked in when he saw ninjas at the checkpoint. So, he knew nothing. And wasn't that basic procedure among ninjas? The land of whirlpools, how come it's different from the outside world? Just as Jiraiya was deep in thought, the traffic policeman sighed, picked up the walkie-talkie again, and said seriously, it's been confirmed. He's an illegal immigrant, suspected of being a spy. Please notify the relevant departments. What did you say? Uzumaki-jun wiped away the tea he had accidentally sprayed again, and said calmly. Jiraiya is here? Yes. Uzumaki Hibiki habitually washed himself clean with water release and wind release, nodded, and said, he's currently at the traffic police department, but I estimate he'll be transferred to the police station soon. What had he done? Uzumaki-jun looked at Uzumaki Hibiki with a puzzled expression. How come Jiraiya got arrested as soon as he arrived in the land of whirlpools? And transferred from the traffic police department to the police station? This is serious. Smuggling, illegal entry, plus driving without a license, running a red light, and not having a pet license, Hibiki Uzumaki said, adjusting her glasses. Now she's suspected of being a spy. Ah, I see. Jun Uzumaki nodded in understanding. Serves her right. Luckily, Jiraiya didn't ride at Toad and drink as usual, otherwise he'd be accused of drunk driving too. But, why did Jiraiya smuggle himself into the land of whirlpools for no reason? Was he ordered by the Hokage to investigate the true situation in the land of whirlpools? What's the arrangement at the bureau? Jun Uzumaki asked, stroking his chin and squinting. They sent me to question you, Hibiki Uzumaki said. After all, you're one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha. See if they need to make an exception? You. Hearing Hibiki's words, Jun Uzumaki shook his head in disappointment, saying, this is favoritism. What about Konoha? What about the legendary Sannin? Anyone who violates the laws and regulations of the land of whirlpools should be severely punished. You mean? Hibiki Uzumaki nodded knowingly upon hearing Jun Uzumaki's words, and said, I'll arrange it. Remember, the land of whirlpools is a country ruled by law, Jun Uzumaki said solemnly. Everyone is equal before the law. Whoever violates the laws of the land of whirlpools will be punished according to the law. So, punish them severely. Ideally, punish Jiraiya so much that he has to work in the land of whirlpools. Sigh. Jiraiya glanced at his wallet, sighed, and muttered, the ninja world. How did it change so quickly? He only fought one war, How did the land of whirlpools become different from what Tsunade said? And, if every country is like the land of whirlpools, won't his dream of traveling the ninja world be shattered? After all, he's broke. It seems I still have to stick to my childhood dream. Jiraiya muttered helplessly, but now. He should first get a license for Gamabunta. He didn't expect that even summoning beasts in the land of whirlpools needed licenses. He dared not summon Gamachu now, otherwise, if he were punished again, he'd be sleeping on the streets tonight. I am one of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage, the dream lover of millions of girls in the ninja world, Jiraiya muttered, tossing his stiff white hair. How could I possibly sleep on the streets? It would be too beneath me. He needed to get his documents sorted out quickly, and then go find some inspiration. The place in the land of whirlpools for inspiration, where was it? The bus stop? Jiraiya walked to a small pavilion by the roadside and murmured, this should be it. According to their directions, he just needed to take bus number 1, and the 3rd stop from here was the pet hospital. He could get Gamachu's license there. After waiting a while, Jiraiya saw a metal box slowly approaching, with a big one written on it, and knew this was the bus he needed to take. Filled with curiosity, he joined the queue with the others and slowly boarded the bus. Blades? Jiraiya murmured curiously, looking at the rows of chairs inside. This is really interesting. Tsunade never told me that the land of whirlpools had such things. Then, 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops. We're here. Jiraiya muttered to himself, following the people getting off the train. Here. Looking at the land of whirlpools affiliated academy in front of him, he was immediately bewildered. Where was he? Wasn't it supposed to be right there after getting off the train? How come he, the Toad Sage, couldn't see it? Could it be that the pet hospital in the land of whirlpools is called an academy? Jiraiya looked at the land of whirlpools affiliated academy in front of him with suspicion. Then, excuse me, sir, where's the pet hospital? He asked cheerfully to a man in his 50s or 60s next to him. Why can't I see it here? Wasn't it supposed to be 3 stops? The old man pointed to the station opposite, frowned, glanced at the white-haired youth, sighed, and said, take the bus over there, it'll be there in 6 stops. You probably got on the wrong bus? These young people nowadays. Don't they know how to read bus stop signs? Then, shaking his head as he walked, he muttered, so young and he can't even read a bus stop sign. Leaving behind, a completely bewildered Jiraiya. He, the Toad Sage, actually got on the wrong bus. Chapter 1. Chapter 275. Your life may be its decades. This must be it. Jiraiya looked up at the pet hospital of the land of whirlpools and said with a sigh, I never thought that my first time riding a bus would be the wrong one. This land of whirlpools is really something. Could they have written the bus stop sign bigger? Otherwise, how could he, the Toad Sage, who has traveled the ninja world for so many years, possibly get lost? But, a pet hospital? Jiraiya's face fell when he saw those 4 words. He had never seen a hospital like this in the ninja world before. They even require summoning beasts to have licenses. Probably only the land of whirlpools has this kind of place in the ninja world. What's the procedure? Do I need an entrance pass to get in? Will I get fined if I just mess around? You know, at this rate, even a sage won't have any money. After thinking about it, Jiraiya decided to find someone to ask. Why was he caught? Wasn't it because he ran a red light and was driving without a license? He'd better not mess around anymore. Jiraiya looked around, wondering who to ask. When he saw a red-haired brat and a blue-haired little girl walking out of the hospital, his eyes lit up, especially when he saw the little girl holding a small white cat. It was obvious, they were also there to get their documents processed. So, they're the ones, Jiraiya murmured, a slight smile playing on his lips. They'll be so happy to see the Toad Sage asking me something. He was the Toad Sage, Jiraiya. Now you can relax, right? Nagato yawned and said, the paper thing just caught a cold. Then, he stretched. Now I can finally go back to sleep. No way. Konan saw Nagato's dejected look and immediately said with a stern face, Nagato, you're getting lazier and lazier. Have you ever seen the land of whirlpools at 3 in the morning? Hearing Konan's words, Nagato immediately became unhappy. I train until 3 in the morning every day. So, this is. Konan stood in front of Nagato, gestured her height, and said, this is why you're not tall. My mother said that children who go to bed too late won't grow tall. Nagato opened his mouth. He wanted to say that when his brother was the same age as him, He wasn't very tall either, but, seeing Conan's height, she was indeed taller than him. Could it really be because he had been staying up late these past few days? So, indeed, he was too diligent. Nagato realized he couldn't stay up too late anymore. He needed to use up all his energy by morning, otherwise, what if he was shorter than Conan by then? I just haven't developed yet, Nagato said, glancing away unhappily. I'll definitely grow taller later. So, what should we do now? Exercise. Conan said, holding up the piece of paper. Take this piece of paper, I've discovered it's very smart. It'll definitely become a powerful ninja beast in the future. Conan looked at the piece of paper she was holding. Aren't you right? Meow. The piece of paper nodded. It was indeed quite smart, but, the piece of paper was just an ordinary white cat. However, seeing Conan's happy expression, Nagato could only helplessly say, you're right. The piece of paper will definitely be very powerful in the future. Isn't it just an ordinary white cat? Who said what I was thinking? Nagato looked up at the white-haired man standing in front of him, stroking his chin with a lewd expression. He immediately grabbed Conan warily and said, Uncle, who are you? Uncle. Jiraiya's expression froze upon hearing Nagato's words. He clutched his chest and took a step back. He was only in his early 20s. A friendly smile appeared on his face as he said, Little kid, who are you calling uncle? I'm calling you, uncle, Conan said, holding her cat and staring with her adorable big eyes. Uncle, why are you clutching your chest? Is it a heart attack? Jiraiya felt that as the Toad Sage, how could he argue with a child? So, I am one of the legendary Sannin of Konoha, the Toad Sage, the most popular ninja in the world. Jiraiya flashed what he thought was a dashing smile and said, Jiraiya. Jiraiya? Nagato and Conan exchanged a glance, then, looked up at Jiraiya. Don't know him. The land of whirlpools is truly a country with outdated information. Jiraiya sighed inwardly and said, Little sister, your white cat is too ordinary, it's impossible for it to become a ninja beast. Conan pouted unhappily upon hearing Jiraiya's words, saying, Impossible. Paper is so smart, it'll definitely be powerful in the future. Meow. Paper glared at Jiraiya and meowed. Seeing this, Jiraiya smiled and said, It really is quite smart. But, without the corresponding training techniques, even if it's smart, it's just a smart white cat. After all, only the Uzumaki Clan in the ninja world possesses the secret techniques for training dogs. Otherwise, why haven't all the many animals in the ninja world become ninja beasts? Don't listen to this strange old man, Nagato said, pulling Conan away from the lecherous man. Let's hurry up and get to training. However, seeing the two little ones about to leave, Jiraiya quickly said, Wait a minute, just do me a favor. I have a way to train it into a ninja beast. Are you serious? Nagato looked at Jiraiya suspiciously, thinking he should probably call the police. No matter how you looked at it, this white-haired man was suspicious. He was obviously not a good person. Of course. Jiraiya patted his chest confidently. The toad, never lie. A toad should be able to train a cat, right? In any case, Mount Myaboku is one of the 3 sacred mountains, it must have a way. So, the Toad Sage, never lies. If he can't, then the toad is definitely lying. So, Nagato thought for a moment, then glanced at Conan, who was looking at him expectantly, and said helplessly, What do you need us for? Let me tell you, if you lie to us, I'll beat you up. He'd better hurry and report this to the police. There's a suspicious person here. I just wanted to ask. Jiraiya said with a confident smile, How do I get a pet license? Beat me up? Just a brat. The Toad Sage, isn't afraid. So, Uncle, the Toad Sage, also raise a powerful ninja beast. Jiraiya said, head held high, so I came to ask how to get one? That's it. Nagato looked at Jiraiya speechlessly, and said irritably, I thought it was something serious. For pets, has it had its triple vaccine? How many rabies shots? Only if all of these are done can you get a license. Hearing Nagato's words, Jiraiya was stunned again. Getting that license was so complicated? And, he contracted a toad from Mount Myaboku. Did he need to get vaccinated too? You haven't even gotten it vaccinated yet? Seeing Jiraiya's expression, Nagato and Conan looked at him with disdain, sighed, and said, You need to be a responsible pet owner. Your 10-odd years might be its entire life. I think it might live longer than me. Jiraiya stroked his chin thoughtfully. After all, it's the toad from Mount Myaboku. That's the same, its decades might be your entire life. Nagato shook his head and said, you'd better take your pet to get vaccinated quickly. This uncle, what's so special about the toad he raises? He's even eaten it. And then, when are you going to teach me to write on paper? Nagato looked at Jiraiya suspiciously. You can't lie to a child. Haha. Jiraiya awkwardly glanced away, not daring to look into the little girl's expectant eyes, and quickly laughed it off, saying, I'll find you after I get my documents sorted out. He immediately turned and ran towards the pet hospital. Believe me. The toad sage, never lie. Nagato and Konan were speechless as they watched Jiraiya run away. Were they really going to lie to him? Otherwise, how were they going to find them? Maybe they should call the police later. As for Jiraiya. Hello, doctor. After registering, he followed the direction the young woman pointed. And let me tell you, the young woman at this pet hospital was really pretty. I'm here to get my pet license. Jiraiya looked at the beautiful young woman in her 20s in front of him, flashed what he thought was a cool smile, and said, I heard you need to get your pet vaccinated here? Where's your pet? The female doctor frowned at his lewd smile and said, where is it? Here. Jiraiya looked around and said, mine's a bit big, this place is a bit small. Big? The female doctor glanced at Jiraiya and said disdainfully, scream it out. You know, over the years, what kind of ninja beasts haven't she seen? How big could it be? Then, Jiraiya saw the female doctor's disdainful expression and sighed inwardly. It seemed it was time to show her the might of the toad sage. He bit his thumb, made a hand seal, and shouted, summon Ninjutsu. Bang! A puff of smoke dissipated, and a giant toad appeared on the ground, its body shrunken. Little Jiraiya, why did you call me out again? Gamachu frowned at Jiraiya, then looked around and said, it's a bit small here. Then, Jiraiya hesitated upon hearing Gamachu's words, then whispered, nothing, I just missed you a little. An injection. Gamachu. He shouldn't blame him, right? Chapter 2. I'm sure you can tell from the comments that I'm back on Twitter, which is truly cause for celebration. As for the extra chapter, I was originally going to post 3 chapters, but I got back late, so today's update is a bit slow. There won't be 3 chapters today, I'll post an extra chapter tomorrow. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all, see you in the next video.